Dave Gasper.
Let's stay up all night long.
From Monroe Street to Lombardi Avenue.
There is your dagger.
This is your daily deep dive into the teams we love and the games we watch.
Touchdown, Wisconsin. And there it is. The Brewers will punch a ticket to the postseason.
Now here's Dave Gasper.
Welcome into D.N.D. here on the Game Radio Network. It is a Victory Chicken Monday for the Wisconsin Badgers. Finally off the schneid in the Big Ten, getting their first win over the Washington Huskies, 13-10 on Saturday. Welcome in. I am Dave Gasper, sitting in the chair for Doug Russell. He is on his way to Lambeau Field for Monday Night Football tonight. Packers against the Philadelphia Eagles. We'll have plenty of that coming up in the show today as well over the next 4 hours. And then Doug gets started with you at 3 o'clock here with Packers Game Day. I am joined by Nick Brusewitz. He is toughing it out this morning. He is battling through, having his flu game here today, and battling through because, Nick, I know it had to be tough for you because you missed the Badger game on Saturday. And weather-wise, I'm sure most people would have been like, I'm fine not standing in that because the weather yesterday or the weather on Saturday was terrible. But, Nick, missing a Badger football game for you, it probably just feels weird because you are always there. You are always at the games watching this team. You have for years, going back to when you were still a student at the university. And finally, they get off the schneid and you weren't there. That had to just be the weirdest feeling for you, man.
Yeah, it was a really weird situation in totality, right? I started to feel a little sick on Friday night at the Kohl Center. It's starting to hit me pretty rough. Badgers win their game over Northern Illinois. And then Saturday morning, I was tasked with making the decision. I came in, we did the pregame show, and then I tried to do the right thing. I knew I was going to be in close proximity to Billy. Billy's going to try and pull one of the greater. Honestly, he's going to try and pull a fast one today. Going to Green Bay, staying until 1 a.m., driving back and doing his 6 a.m. show tomorrow. And I didn't feel like it'd be appropriate for me to try and put him in a position, or anyone else we work with, or others that work around us, to get sick. So I made the decision. I stayed home. I did my work from home. I hadn't missed a home Badgers football game since my freshman year of college. So that was 2019. And I had been there, whether for student radio in school or for work here since then. So yeah, it was a little weird. Disappointing to not be there for the win, but if it meant they get the win, I'll do it. I mean, see, they needed a win.
Yeah, that's the problem, Nick, because now you might not be able to go to any future games.
Yeah,
because if they win when you're not there, maybe you got to stay away. Maybe we got to be a little stitious, maybe not superstitious, but maybe a little stitious with that one and keep you away and see if that helps continue the trend for Wisconsin getting the massive win yesterday. And that just kind of leads me to this question. I want to put this out there. Are there any games in your life that you were supposed to be at, that you intended to be at, but all of a sudden couldn't go for whatever reason, whether you were sick, something else happened? Was there a game that you intended to be at and should have been there and ended up missing? 877-794-1973 is the NicoletLaw.com talk and text line for you to hop in. It is always open to you. We'd love to hear your thoughts and your stories. If there are any games you're supposed to be at, were you supposed to be at, a Brewers playoff game or a Packers playoff game or any of those, something came up, couldn't go. We'd love to hear your stories there. Nick, unable to be at the game on Saturday.
Right.
Storm in the field, which we'll get into that coming up here in the show as well. Should you storm the field? Do you think winning against the number 23 ranked team in the country constitutes storming the field? Have you ever been in one? Also, have you ever been in a field storm or a court storm or anything like that at any games that you have gone to, Badgers or otherwise? And how fun are they to be out there in the middle of it. So we'd love to get your thoughts on that as well. 877-794-1973 is the NickLayLaw.com talk and text line. Nick, this win for the Badgers, it was sloppy, it was messy, it was ugly, the weather was terrible, but they got seemingly every break that they needed going their way in this game. You got the interception by Rico Hallman there in the end zone. You got the blocked kick. You got a ton of stuff that ended up happening where it's like you're looking at this, and as it's still kind of a close game, tie game, 3-point game, whatever it was, it's like, man, this is everything going their way, everything that they needed. They had the fumble there as well that they forced, everything that they needed in order to get a win. It still got close, but if there was a game where every break went your way, this was it.
Yeah, the Badgers were able to make the most of limited opportunities. The Mason Post's strip sack allowed them to put their only touchdown on the board, right? And they get the ball inside the 5, and Carter Smith jams it in. I look at how the game started and give a lot of credit to Wisconsin for kind of rolling with the punches, because Danny O'Neal looked strong in limited action, and he gets hurt on a great play by him. He breaks into the open field. His leg gives out. He collapses, and he has to be carted off. We all wanted to see Carter Smith in some capacity on Saturday. We weren't sure if that meant it was going to be opportunity to see him as a starter, or if it would mean he was going to come in some special packages. Well, he got thrust into the starting role when Danny goes down with the injury. And you pair that with a missed field goal on your first possession. It kind of felt like, here we go again. This is where Wisconsin's been this year, close, but not good enough to being able to start games strong. But the defense was there from the beginning to the end. They delivered the entire game. They were able to benefit from some breaks with injuries on the other side. Jonah Coleman, lead running back for Washington, got injured early, finished his day with 5 carries, only 2 yards. And Denzel Boston, who did get a touchdown, got hurt on a return and was limited throughout the rest of the game. So Wisconsin took the most of what they had. And DeMond Williams was never really able to create much of anything with his arm due to the weather. It was a perfect storm, and the Badgers deserved it, because I think they've had a lot of things go against them this year, whether it's injury, circumstance, or even just opponents at the wrong time.
Yeah, and that's the amazing part of this too, because as we were in the early parts of that game, Danny O'Neal's kind of running all over the place, and you think, okay, well, Danny O'Neal's got the start. He's doing some stuff. They're moving the ball a little bit here early on. But then O'Neal leaves with an injury, and it's oh no, here we go again. Yet another quarterback going down, but that brought in Carter Smith. And we feel for Danny O'Neal. Hope he gets better soon, but it looked like it was bad. It looked like he's going to be out for a bit here. And you get Carter Smith coming in, the true freshman. Everyone's been calling for him. We've been talking about it. Luke Fickell said it the week leading up that Carter's in the mix to come into the game. So Carter Smith comes in, and my man is juiced. He is fired up. It's a 5-yard run leading up to 2nd and 5. This dude's getting up. He's just flexing. He's pointing to the crowd. He's getting everyone fired up. I'm loving it. No matter what's happening, this kid is bringing energy. He is bringing the juice, and he is getting these guys ready to go. He kept that crowd in it. He got them in it, because everyone's kind of been looking for everyone in that stadium was looking for Carter Smith. They were looking to see something different out of the quarterback play, and they finally get it with Smith in there. Now, Smith didn't complete a pass, until way later in the game. He really had a tough time getting any of that going, but he was running the ball. I mean, it was practically triple option type. This was old school Wisconsin, ground and pound, keep the ball on the ground and just run it down their throats. And that's what they did the whole game. And it was successful. Now, granted, this wasn't to the same level that we've seen previous Wisconsin ground and pound offenses do, where they still can put up about 30 points or so, but they were effective running the ball, which is something we have been begging for the last couple of years, and we finally got to see it on Saturday.
Yeah, I think that what most benefited Wisconsin was that they had put themselves in a position to continually win the field position battle, that they were starting possessions at or near midfield. And if they did stall, they were pinning back Washington inside their 10, whether it was Sean West, who has the booming leg, or Bertrams, who we saw late in the game, just with the technique to put guys inside the 5 on punts. He dropped one even. I mean, talk about breaks going Wisconsin's way. Bertrams drops the snap late in the game, picks it up, shuffles a couple feet to his left, just barely gets one off, and it rolls and lands inside the 5. You look at what Wisconsin did, it's absolutely not sustainable. It's by no means appropriate for a Division I Power 4 conference Big Ten team. They played 1930s offense, as I saw someone describe online, and they did it just well enough to get the win. And this is a team that you just had to find a way to win. You find a lot of ways to lose. You find ways to get yourself out of position of winning. They found every opportunity to just hold on and make the most of the chances they had on Saturday. And they were, outside of just a couple of plays, incredible defensively.
Yeah, they were fantastic. I mean, the only touchdown that the defense gave up was when it was a blocked punt that was recovered at the 1 yard line. It was at Wisconsin's 1 yard line that they had to defend. That was the only touchdown that they gave up in the game. It was such a fantastic performance defensively from this group, and chief among them, Mason Posa and Cooper Catalano. I mean, those two linebackers, the freshman linebackers, absolutely incredible. They were balling out. They were having the game of their lives. They wanted this Big Ten win almost more than anyone, it seemed like, just with what they were putting up. I believe, what was it, 16 tackles for Catalano? 19 he ended up with. I mean, It was just phenomenal, the performance that he had. Posa had 2.5 sacks. It was just a crazy game from those two guys. And that's what Wisconsin also had been known for, a strong defense and great linebacker play. And gotten away from that the last couple of years. You've been wondering, who are the linebackers on this team? It's these two guys. It is Catalano. It is Posa. I think that's going to form your linebacking core for the next couple of years. They look like absolute ballers out there.
Yeah, the Badgers had 61 total tackles. The two freshmen, Catalano and Posa, combined for 30. They had half the team's tackle output.
Crazy.
18 of which were solo tackles, and they combined for 4 tackles for loss. 2.5 sacks is already highlighted for Posa. Posa with, honestly, the game-breaking play with the strip sack and the game-winning play with the tackle of Williams on the 4th down play late in the 4th quarter. And you just saw the elation on their faces. They spoke in the post game with the Big Ten media on television. Posa was on the mic, and Cooper shows up, and they wrap their arms around each other. That's my dog. That's my dog. This is my guy. And then Posa in the post game with the local media members spoke to, almost get used to it. We're going to be around for a while. And that meme trend with the bearded guy that says, like, thank you for changing my life. And
yeah.
I put one out with Cooper and Posa. I put a picture out there, and it did pretty well. A few hundred likes, a couple thousand engagements. But
there we go.
They have changed Badgers fans' lives almost overnight. Catalano is an absolute stud. And now we've seen Posa really come into his own the last couple of weeks and become a star pretty quickly. You have your fixtures now on the defensive side of the ball at that linebacker group. You build out from there, but you're feeling pretty damn good about the two you have. 30 tackles. Yikes. That's incredible. And no one had gotten 19 tackles in a very, very long time, and Catalano did it.
Yeah, it was just an incredible defensive performance from those two guys. And that's kind of, you're at this part of the season, you let the young guys play, and they're letting them play, and these guys are balling out. They got quite a few good players in there. But, Nick, as you mentioned, this game changing Badgers fans' lives, or these players changing Badgers fans' lives. How much does this change things for you as a Badger fan? 877-794-1973. How did you feel about this team before the game on Saturday, and how do you feel about them now? Where were you at? Were you at maybe a 6 on the excitement level before, and you're at an 8 now? Where are you kind of on the scale in terms of your excitement for the future of this team? Because for the last week, leading up to this game, it seemed like everyone was pretty much down on this team. The Daubers were down. Everyone's looking at, fire Fickle, get rid of him. This whole team is going nowhere. You're going to have to start it all over next year. and it's all bad. Everything's bad. Everything's negative. That's all the talk seemingly was leading into this game. Now that you got a win, how much are you kind of off that bandwagon? Or how much are you on the, okay, things might be all right. Let's see how things pan out. How much does this change things for you? 877-794-1973. Nick, how much does this game, this win for the Badgers, change things for you?
Well, it makes me look like less of an ass for sticking up for Fickell all the time. I mean, this is the vision defensively that they envisioned when they brought in Coach Fickell. This is the type of mentality. This is a type of play style that he anticipated and they anticipated being able to build around defensively. And so I feel validated in a lot of different ways in regards to kind of sticking my chest out and saying that they're building something. I'm not going to be naive to think that this can change everything for everybody. People will look at it and say they got lucky to win this one, and that's part of sports, doing the most of limited opportunities and avoiding colossal mistakes. Wisconsin did a hell of a job without turning the ball over offensively. I know they had the blocked punt, but it makes me feel a lot better that they can win games moving forward. Like, are they going to win at Indiana? I don't think so. But can they beat Illinois and Minnesota? Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
We also said we didn't think they'd beat Washington, but they did. And Indiana had a tough time against Penn State, and they ended up pulling it out, but they had a tough time. So, but Nick, you feel validated in standing up for Fickell. You know who else is feeling pretty validated right now? Chris McIntosh. Chris McIntosh had himself one hell of a week. I mean, he comes out, he basically ties himself to Luke Fickell. He says, Fickell is the guy. I stand by him. We are going to financially support him even more, and we are going to make this thing work. We're going to make this thing happen. And then to immediately go out there in your next game and win against a top 25 opponent, your first top 25 win since 2021, that has to feel absolutely fantastic for McIntosh, because McIntosh has been taking all of the arrows lately. McIntosh and Fickell, both of them together, they have had no shield, nothing up to protect them from those arrows, and they finally get the win, and maybe those arrows will slow down a little bit, because McIntosh has to be feeling on top of the moon right now with how he stood up and puffed his chest out saying, no, Luke Fickell is the guy. We believe in what we're building here. And to get that win immediately after, it means so much to the frustration, to the angst that was building. And that's where with the field storm, that was the release of frustration as much as anything. I mean, it's not even about like, oh yeah, you're winning against a 23rd ranked team in the country. It's not top 5. It's not top 10. It's 23. But still, it's a ranked opponent, and it is your first conference win in over a year. And it is just so frustrating to have watched this team over the past several couple of years, and to get this win, it released so much pressure on Fickell, on McIntosh, on the players, on the fans. They feel so much better. I mean, that as much as anything was the reason for the court storm. It's not just who you beat. It's not about beating Washington. It is about that frustration, that anger being let out. And that is why I love the court storm. Some may look at it and just be like, no, you're storming the court. You're storming the field. What are you doing? Badgers fans, you deserved that field storm. You 100% deserved it. And I can't believe anyone's saying otherwise.
Yeah, I just think that the naysayers want to look at where Washington was ranked and the caliber of program that Wisconsin typically is traditionally, and say it doesn't really make much sense. But people won't look at the nuance of being 2-6, losing 6 in a row, and having not beaten a ranked opponent or a Big Ten opponent in a very long time. A year since they had beaten a Big Ten opponent, and 4 years since they had beaten a ranked opponent. So yeah, you could tell that release and that relief in the post game with Luke at the media with the media at the podium as well.
Yeah, I mean, it was just fantastic to see that energy, and we'll hear from Luke Fickell and his thoughts on the podium coming up in just a little bit here as well. On the NickLayLaw.com talk and text line 877-794-1973. We are asking about where your excitement level is for this team after that win on Saturday. And Phil in Merrimack says 5. The offense is still not great. And the offense, it did struggle throwing the ball. I mean, your punter was your best passer of the day. I mean, he was your leader in passing yards. Sean West, 24 yards on that fake punt, which was a brilliantly called fake punt. By the way, I can only imagine that they maybe started drawing that up and thinking about it after Sean West's other fake punt, which was kind of accidental on 4th and 19 that he ended up picking up. It's like, let's drop maybe a better one this time. And they were able to get it. But Phil and Merrimack is still at a 5. The offense, it did struggle throwing the ball. Says, slow your boat, Nick. They could still lose all their other games. They could. Yeah, they also could win.
You feel like they can win now. I mean, had they lost to Washington, you would have felt they're definitely going to lose to Indiana. So then you would have been like, well, maybe they don't win another game. You've seen them win a game now, okay? It took 2 months between wins, but they've won one. You feel like they can win a game now. Probably not next week, this current week against Indiana, but Illinois at home and Minnesota on the road now become possible.
Yeah, it does. They are still bowl eligible or potentially bowl eligible if they are able to win out. So that dream is alive for now. We'll see what Indiana has to say about it. Mike and Merrill, hot take. The crappy black vest was gone and the hoodie is 1-0. See, now that is something that I saw pointed out a whole bunch yet on Twitter on Saturday too. The black vest, the team vest was gone and the Badgers win. Is that a coincidence? I think not. I mean, the vest has gotten an almost irrational level of hatred from Badgers fans as to why the team has not been successful. Sure. But he goes without the vest, and then they win. So really, I think Fickell has to leave the vest in the closet for the next couple of games just to see. Just give the hoodie a little bit more run and see if that turns around your luck. Is it ridiculous? Is it superstitious? Yes. 100%. The vest doesn't actually have any sort of actual impact on the game, but when he doesn't wear it, they won, and when he does wear it, they've lost quite a lot. So could there be a relation? I don't know, but I saw that one quite a bit out there as well.
Yeah.
10 to the 920. Anyone against storming the field on that one is a bad word that I'm not going to say. So yeah, I think I agree in that sense with Ted that you can't be against storming the field there. I mean, at that point, you're just trying to find something to be negative about.
Right. Yeah, you gotta be able to celebrate when things are worth celebrating, and that's an opportunity to do something special. Getting that W and getting those fans out on the field was a moment that none of those players, those coaches, and those fans in attendance are ever going to forget.
Yeah, we're going to talk to one of those players. We're going to talk to Billy Edwards Jr. coming up in the 1:00 hour of the show. That's going to be coming up later. Also, before then, we're going to be talking with Nick Osen of 24/7 Sports, get his thoughts on that game. And as they were storming the field, Badgers DJ was playing some jump around, and that was just electric. That was just perfect. And the Badgers get the win over the weekend. We're going to hear from Badgers head coach Luke Fickell on the other side. Before we get to Nick Osen, that's coming up. You're listening to D.N.D. here on the Game Radio Network.
I can't make it down. So get down your seat and jump around. Want to watch D.N.D? They're live on YouTube, Facebook, and X right now.
I like him even more.
Just search 97.3 The Game. Packers, Eagles, tonight at Lambeau.
It's going to be a test. We know that. It's Monday Night Football. It'll be a great atmosphere, and it's going to be a test. It's going to be a bounce-back week for us, and we just got that mindset to focus on us and our process and all the little details and just have that mindset to go out there, start fast, and play our best ball Monday.
We are getting you ready for the Monday night matchup all day on The Game.
Now, a year in rock spotlight, 1973.
the Rolling Stones are back on top with the #1 album in the U.S. and the U.K. and a #1 single, Angie.
Come on, baby.
Let's Get It On is a #1 single and a #2 album for Marvin Gaye. Also in August of '73, Stevie Wonder is back with the #4 album, Inner Visions. And Florida band Leonard Skinner released their debut album, had a top 20 hit with Freebird, and tour opening for The Who.
Won't you fly, Freebird, yeah.
Fast forward to October, where on their 8th album, the Steve Miller Band debut a smooth blues rock sound and score a #1 hit with The Joker.
I'm a joker, I'm a smoker, I'm a midnight toker. I sure don't want to hurt no one.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more from 1973. Coming up.
iHeartRadio. Here are the top Billy Joel songs that you've thumbed up. Number 3, My Life.
I don't care what you say anymore. This is my life. Go ahead with your own life. Leave me alone.
Number 2, It's Still Rock and Roll to Me.
Nowadays you can't be too sentimental. Your best bet's true, baby blue continental. Hot funk, cool punk, even if it's old junk, it's still rock and roll to me.
Number 1, Uptown Girl.
Uptown girl, she's been living in her white bread world. As long as anyone with hot blood can. And now she's looking for a downtown man. That's what I am.
Hear more from Billy Joel and similar artists now. Search for Billy Joel on iHeartRadio. All your favorite music, all your favorite stations, all free.
Now, a year in rock spotlight, 1967.
Try to set the night on fire.
In January of 1967, Los Angeles band The Doors released their debut album, which eventually goes to #2, and features the single Light My Fire, which goes to #1 in July. The Rolling Stones released Ruby Tuesday, an ode to a groupie written by Keith Richards. The song takes them to #1 in the U.S. in March. And San Francisco band The Jefferson Airplane released the surrealistic Pillow album, scoring 2 top 10 hits with White Rabbit and Somebody to Love.
Don't you want somebody to love? Don't you need somebody to love? Wouldn't you love somebody to love? You better find somebody to love.
In March of '67, Buffalo Springfield re-releases their debut album to include the hit single For What It's Worth. In April of '67, Give Me Some Lovin' by the Spencer Davis Group goes to #7 in the U.S., with vocals by 17-year-old Steve Winwood. And in May, Elvis Presley marries his 21-year-old girlfriend Priscilla in Las Vegas. In May, Mitch Ryder hits #4 with Devil with a Blue Dress, Good Golly Miss Molly. And the Jimi Hendrix Experience released their debut in the UK. In July, they toured the U.S. as the opening act for the Monkees in support of the U.S. album release.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more from 1967. Coming up.
We call it Wagertainment.
All right, place your bets, place your bets.
VSiN, every night at 6. Presented by Potawatomi Sportsbook. Bet above the rest on Fox Sports 920.
Saving energy saves you money. Whether you switch to Energy Star light bulbs, install Energy Star windows, or add extra insulation. Learn more at EnergySavers.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Energy and the Ad Council.
Milwaukee's best bet is VSiN, the sports betting network. Presented by Potawatomi Sportsbook. Bet above the rest every night at 6 on Fox Sports 920.
Welcome back to D.N.D. here on the game. Dave Gasper here, Nick Bruzewitz there, Doug Russell on his way to Lambeau Field, getting you set for Packers game day coming up at 3 o'clock to get ready for Monday Night Football against the Eagles here tonight. And we are celebrating a Badgers win here too. It's a Badgers victory chicken Monday here as Wisconsin wins 13-10 over the weekend. And Nick Bruzewitz, our friend Nick Brusewitz. You were not there because you were dealing with a little bit of sickness. So we were asking on the NicolaLaw.com talk and text line 877-794-1973, which is always open to you. We were asking what were some games that you were supposed to be at that you ended up having to miss for whatever reason. We want to hear your stories. Sabrina in Tosa texts in, we were supposed to be at CC Sabathia's almost no-hitter on a Sunday in Pittsburgh, but the day before, our flight got moved up to noon on Sunday. Oh,
tough break.
That's brutal. Mm-hmm. Oh, man, you almost witnessed almost history. I mean, that was that game in 2008. Just incredible. CC, the complete game, one hitter on a swinging bunt that clearly should have been an error on CC Sabathia, but man, that's a tough one to be at, or not be at, having to miss that one for your flight. Fantastic. So send them in 877-794-1973. We want to hear your stories of the games you wanted to be at, you should have been at, but for outside circumstances, you were not able to be there for. We'll get more of your reaction on the talk and text line coming up. And we'll also get to, on the talk and text line, Nick Osen of Badgers 24/7. He is going to be joining us on the other side here, and we're going to get his thoughts because he was there at the game on Saturday, and he was taking in this whole game. And for Nick Osen, Nick, you just got to feel for the guy having to go through seeing like, okay, this team's not doing so well. Everyone's kind of, angry in the comments. I mean, for the people covering the team, it almost feels probably just as good as the players.
Yeah, a lot of the folks that have tried to remain positive. Nick probably leads that group. Yeah, it had to have been a good moment to kind of see some level of validation for the hard work that they do. Whether the Badgers are really good or really bad, I think that's best for content for those that are certainly trying to cover the team because people want to engage when teams are notable one way or the other. But this kind of David versus Goliath opportunity moment will lead to a lot of eyes on a lot of good work from those that we are in touch with all the time. So looking forward to chopping it up with Nick on the other side and getting his take on what he saw. He was there, so he's got a little bit more of a first-person experience.
Yeah, he does, and we're going to get to that experience from him coming up on the other side here as we continue on this Badgers Victory Chicken Monday, this football Monday here, getting ready for the Packers as well tonight. We're going to hear from Matt LaFleur, his press conference from over the weekend. We're going to hear from that coming up in the 11 o'clock hour as well, and that's all coming up. It's a loaded show here for you on a football Monday here on D.N.D. on the game.
Now I started crying and I couldn't stop myself. I started running, but there's nowhere to run to. I sat down on the street, took a look at myself.
Stay tuned.
Yes.
D.N.D. will be back in just a moment. The Packers welcome the Eagles to Green Bay tonight.
They're a great defense. They got some really good players over there, so definitely got a lot of respect for them. And that's where I think we just got to do a good job of trying to find ways to take advantage of what they do. But I think they mix stuff up a lot. They got a really good defense coordinator over there, so they do stuff well. Their stats might not be as well, but I think teams have had success when they hit on their plays.
Stay with the game all day as we get you ready for Monday Night Football. If you missed Drew and KB, you missed out on this.
Today we welcome Steve Poles to the program. Not everybody can say they ran in a sausage race.
The Padres were playing the Brewers, and I was following the Padres around the country. Then I got to know those guys really well, so I remember I followed them up to Milwaukee, and the manager was Bruce Bochy. I had the wildest time with the Padres about a week before that in Miami, and I threw Bruce Bochy's minibar out of his hotel room window and destroyed it, and it caused $467 of damage. So Bruce Bochy sees me, and he says, "Polsey, you owe me $467 for a minibar. And we had a meeting. You're not allowed to stay in the same hotels as us anymore." The traveling secretary banned me from staying in the same hotels.
That's awesome.
So I was in Milwaukee, and that day, Bochy says to me, "Why don't you come down and sing to the players in the dugout?" So I sang this song called 98 Pounder. And then he said, "Why don't you go out in the field and shag fly balls while Tony Gwynn takes batting practice?" So this was like Ferris Bueller's Day Off for me. I went out and I'm sitting there, and these security guards come up to me. They go, "Are you Steve Poltz?" And I go, "Yeah." And they go, "Oh, they want you to come sit by Jerry Coleman while he calls the game." And Jerry Coleman was the voice of the Padres. And Jerry Coleman, legendary guy, managed the Padres a little bit and then became the voice of the Padres. So they let me sit by Jerry Coleman while he calls the game.
Oh, that's so cool.
I did that, and then Jerry Coleman was laughing. I had him smiling. He goes, "Hey, how would you like to sit next to the Uke next inning?" So he brings me in. I get to sit by Bob Uecker. I'm sitting there with Uecker. He couldn't have been kinder to me. And then a security guard comes back up. He goes, "Hey, they want you to run the sausage races in the 7th inning." And I go, "Are you kidding me?"
What a day.
And so this truly was amazing. And Poltz becomes Polish sausage. I go out there, and out of 5 sausages, I took 5th.
Drew and KB are talking sports and stuff every weekday from 2 to 6, right here on The Game.
iHeartRadio. Here are the top Michael Jackson songs you've thumbed up. Number 3, The Way You Make Me Feel. Number 2, Beat It. Number 1, Billie Jean.
She just a girl that I ever want, but the chair is not my son.
Hear more from Michael Jackson and similar artists now. Search for Michael Jackson on iHeartRadio. All your favorite music, all your favorite stations, all free.
Did you know your home can cause twice the greenhouse gases of your car? It's true. The good news is you can help with Energy Star. The EPA urges you to take steps to reduce your home energy bills and make a big difference in the fight against air pollution. Visit EnergyStar.gov.
It's D.N.D. here on The Game. It's been a celebration in Madison for the past, 48 hours or so as the Wisconsin Badgers got their win over the weekend. 2-0 this weekend against the Huskies. First, the basketball team gets a win against the Northern Illinois Huskies on Friday night, and then football gets a win against the Washington Huskies on Saturday.
Good
Beautiful,
news.
Nick. Yeah, tough weekend for Huskies.
Yeah, it was a rather challenging time. I did see a lot of Washington football, whether it's Barstool or other affiliated Washington accounts, going through it big time. Just couldn't wrap their heads around losing to a team whose leading passer was a punter.
Yeah, that's certainly a tough look. It absolutely is. But that's just kind of the way that game was. And Nick Osen, our friend Nick Osen from 24/7 Sports, he was there. And Nick, that game was kind of sloppy. It was kind of messy. The weather, a big part of that, as it started, raining, freezing rain, then snow. But Nick, when you're taking that game in, just what was your take on Sean West being the leading passer for the Wisconsin Badgers?
Yeah, Dave, there was a lot to take in. And by the way, I love the song intro, guys. That was a great little vibe this Monday morning.
Thank you.
Honestly, in all sincerity, Dave, it's a little bit hard to fully grasp and understand that and, how it's possible and such if you weren't there, right? Or if you weren't fully locked in on that game, watching every play. I remember I looked over at Payne, who Bruisewitz has met, that's my colleague at 247, and I said, even after I think it was that first completion from Simmons, so I'm not talking West yet, but I said, I really think the Badgers win this game. And obviously they didn't go back to Simmons much. It was the Carter Smith show. Obviously West had that great, one pass attempt 24 yards. He's had a couple big plays, but I think in all sincerity, Dave, it just speaks to some of the desperation that this group felt, and B, look, I think a lot of this stuff is kind of maybe overblown or kind of sometimes overconceptualized. But I actually, especially watching that defense and even some of the run game and the O-line, I personally believe there was a little bit of a chip off of their shoulders and just kind of taken off a little bit of pressure with McIntosh's announcement last week. I said it with Bruce earlier over the weekend. Did it exactly equate to the win? Obviously there was a lot more to it, but I just felt like some of these players did feel some levels of pressure. Some have even kind of alluded to that throughout. Like, yeah, we know there's talk about it. We know what's going on. And so I think for a multitude of reasons, the timing of that announcement was really important. And obviously just almost, maybe not once in a lifetime, but once every generation or so type of field storm. And then obviously atmosphere that we got to see in Madison on a beautiful snowy night.
Nick, Danny O'Neal started the game, and he was off to a rock-solid beginning. He had broke a couple of strong runs, and he gets hurt on the latter of which, 21 yards. And Carter Smith is thrust into the game, and I think the most important thing you can do as a quarterback is protect the football in that weather with 15 rush attempts, putting the ball in the air 12 different times. Carter Smith avoids the turnover, and I think that's a huge part of how they win this one.
Yeah, Bruce, I totally agree. Even when you were watching, obviously they were using his legs a lot. I'm not sure I would have felt that it was that full 15, but obviously you're right, for 47 yards, and a touchdown. Look, I'm not sure if O'Neal plays that whole game, and I really hope for the best for him. Obviously, it didn't look great. Like, I still think the Badgers could very well have won that game. He didn't have that many pass attempts. He's got good legs as well, but I don't think there's a question. And Bruce, we've talked about it consistently on your respective shows and all these with Dave for at least a month. There is something different about some of these young guys. And it's not saying they're more talented necessarily, better, all that. There is just an energy and kind of a confidence and maybe an extra level of motivation that you see when they're out there. There's some juice. There's like some palpable juice. And I believe some of the veterans kind of rallied around Carter Smith. I know that the guys were very, very excited for him after. And, obviously we've talked a little bit. We're going to see what the future looks like at quarterback next season and so on. But right now, it certainly would appear that it's the Carter Smith show. And it's really going to be intriguing, to follow along and see how he can grow with the passing game. And now obviously getting a full week of practice reps going against a top 5 or 6 defense in the country this upcoming weekend.
Talking with Nick Osen from 24/7 Sports. Carter Smith, I mean, he's been the story. Everyone's been begging for him to get into a game, and he does get in there. And we don't see much from him passing wise. It almost seemed like the Badgers coaches didn't really want to trust him, kind of airing it out. I mean, he attempted some kind of like jump throws. It almost looked like he was trying to do a couple of times. But I'd have to imagine, Nick, that he's a better passer than what we saw on Saturday night. And, what's your sense of what he can bring to the passing part of the game? Because we see what he can do with his legs, but what can he bring with his arm?
Yeah, Dave, I feel that I'm actually, pretty good to talk about him even more than a lot of the guys in the room that we have, because I was able to watch the end of his high school career, videos from here, and just covering his recruitment. And look, he can make nearly every throw. Okay. He's got a pretty strong arm. He's showcased, some great baseball background. Obviously his dad had some time playing pro baseball as well. So like that arm strength is there. He's clearly an athlete. And I think that he's athletic enough to kind of make plays happen on the run. I think with him, Dave, it's going to be about accuracy, right? Timing and consistency. A lot of the things that you talk about really with any great quarterbacks, but certainly the young guys coming up, that they have to kind of get used to. I mean, you see it with 5-star guys all the time that take a little bit to get into the college game. And so that's why, for development's sake, it certainly would have been nice for him to kind of ease into this. But, I believe in being a gamer, which I think he kind of showed. He certainly showed at the end of Platteville and some live stuff. And sometimes it's just the best way to see, hey, do you have it or do you not, right? Is he going to be the guy in 2026? Well, you're getting true live game reps that really matter these next few weeks. So, Dave, I don't think there's really a question on his ceiling. Like, I think his ceiling is certainly a Wisconsin, Big Ten level starting quarterback. But can he grow in those areas? Can he get kind of that rhythm and timing down with some of the receivers? That's tough for anybody, but that's what I'm going to be watching these next 2-3 weeks.
Yeah, and fingers crossed, years to come with roommate Eugene Hilton. That connection can only grow stronger if they both stick around. Let's switch to the defensive side of the ball. Nick, there's usually no shortness of optimism in conversation with you, and you got to take your flowers when you can get them. You've been preaching for months that Cooper Catalano and Mason Posa are the real deal. It's ultimately about when they get their chance. They've gotten their chances now. In 30 combined tackles, 2.5 sacks for Posa, 19 total stops there for Catalano himself. I don't think you can get better. I think that's about as good as it can get for two 18, 19-year-olds in their first year of college football.
Bruce, I really do appreciate that, my friend. Obviously we won't all bat 1,000, but Cooper has, really blown me away in terms of his potential since the spring. And we were talking about Posta, like you mentioned. He gets in, and there are just some things you can't teach, right? I talked about the athleticism with Carter Smith and kind of being a gamer. I think this expression is overused, but you see it with your own eyes with Catalano. He has a ridiculous nose for the football. Like, it just seems that he is always at the point of attack, and obviously 19 tackles, that's going to tell you that same thing. With Posa, I've gotten some great connections getting to know these guys the last couple of years, and people close with him have told me he's a playmaker, and he just needed to get the opportunity. Clearly, he showed it. I mean, Nick, I'm not sure that they win that game if he doesn't force that huge fumble, the rare sack, strip, forcing a fumble, and I believe the recovery, all from one player. NFL players struggle to do that. So that was really, really impressive. I mean, those guys are, it was cool to see some of their interviews. Like, those guys are really that close. They're that supportive of each other, very egoless but confident, great friends. And I believe, and I appreciate you saying that, I've said since August or July, they are the foundation of the defense. And now even people around the program, donors, fans, people excited, are telling me they could be really the foundation of the entire team. So it's really, really cool to see. Obviously, those guys have earned these chances. And, hey, it's going to be awesome to see what they can do these last few weeks with some good teams in there as well.
Yeah, Nick, it's some exciting young talent that they have. And one of the questions we've been asking on the NicoletLaw.com talk and text line, 877-794-1973, is how much does this game change the excitement level for you? Where was your excitement level before this game? Where was your excitement level after? Matt texts in, I'm slowly increasing in excitement. Yes, it's a win and shows it's possible. Also shows how hard these kids are willing to play for Fickell. Nick, where does this game change the excitement level for you? Does it increase your excitement a lot, a little, not at all? And what do you think this game also shows about the players playing for Fickell?
Yeah, for that first part with me, Dave, and you guys can both speak to this, it doesn't change a lot for me because I have still said, even in the tough times, that I thought this team would win another game or two. So I very much had belief in these guys. But I think for the outside world, and shoot, even for me, and seeing it all come together, like that post-game excitement, and then you see it kind of hit another level when Fickell walks in and is dancing a little bit, and obviously we saw him at the presser. Like, these emotions are real, and I don't think it's something that he's always shown. I think fans on my board certainly were looking for more of that. Obviously, you can't show it all the time in tough times or great ones, but yeah, Dave, I don't think that there's a doubt that these guys do love playing for him. It hasn't been a perfect 3 years. Everybody knows that, but I've been really on the same consistent side that, hey, I think these guys and the staff deserve at least another year with all their guys. I think that Saturday was kind of not a pinnacle, because obviously you're shooting for a lot more than 3 and 6, but this season, kind of a early mountaintop type of moment. You'd love to make things pretty competitive in Bloomington against, you could say, the best team in the world in college football, get the axe back. And then you've really got, Dave, a nice foundation for 2026, as long as you can retain 80-90% of the guys that you really want to keep.
Nick Osen, Badger 247, 24/7 Sports, joining us here on D.N.D. for a couple more minutes here. Nick, all over the internet, all over the television coverage, shirtless dudes waving their tees. Some of those were recruits, and some of those recruits made their way onto the field. We talk about a memory we won't forget from a fan perspective, from a media perspective. Have to imagine that left quite the imprint on those recruits in attendance on Saturday.
Yeah, Bruce, you're exactly right. I probably got maybe 6 hours of sleep or so Saturday, rolled up Sunday, started hitting up those great recruits. And, I'll speak on a couple for sure that I got actually on the phone, not just messaging and really getting to know these guys. Cole Ryder, like you can't kind of replicate some of that excitement. Like you said, I mean, it was funny. I saw some tweets that I think from other reporters and such, they were zooming in. Oh, those are some recruits. And they were some of the top of the line guys, Cole Ryder, of course, Loken, Ben Novak, who was already a commit, Ethan McIntosh, who's obviously a 2027 target. And these guys are pumped. I mean, I've had board members even say, like, I think people still want to get to Madison. They just need to see more on the field. Saturday wasn't perfect, but you saw that. You cannot replicate. I think I got to see one of those, Nick, as a student, in 5 seasons or so in Madison. Like, those don't happen all the time with the field storm. So it was really cool. I didn't hear about anybody getting, trampled or too many injuries. But like you said, you can't replicate that type of thing.
How do you think this what do you think this win means for Chris McIntosh? I mean, as we've kind of talked about with what he said all week, and Luke Fickell and his job security, I mean, McIntosh has to be as over the moon as anyone after this game.
Yeah, the win's important, Dave, but I think more than anything, just kind of a sense of, validation that, these guys in this locker room really do, still believe in the staff. There is this influx of young talent. There is this foundation, and now some things just need to get, increased and cleaned up around the edges. But I would guess I saw a lot of people at the end of that night, including kind of in the department and things. I didn't see him, but I would guess he had a pretty big smile after that game for sure, just seeing what was possible with this group. Obviously, the excitement, and then just ending the streak, right, and picking up an important Big Ten W.
Nick Osen, 24/7 Sports. As always, man, we appreciate you hopping on after a victory-filled weekend for Badger Sports. So we'll let you get back to it, and we appreciate you coming on.
Always, guys. I'll be talking with you tomorrow night after hoops.
Sounds good, man. Looking forward to it. There he goes, Nick Osen, 24/7 Sports. And, a victory weekend for the Badgers. He joins us after every game on the J&K Security Solutions basketball post-game show. And the Badgers got a win Friday night against Northern Illinois, which was absolutely fantastic. They controlled that game from start to finish, as they should, taking down Northern Illinois. But that means 2 wins against the Huskies this weekend. Northern Illinois and Washington. The Huskies going down. Bad week for the Dogs here in Wisconsin.
That's right.
But
I know, I like to, the Badgers controlled that one from tip to finish on Friday night.
No pause. Yeah.
Jim Polzine was on earlier on No BS with Tim and Andrew, and he had said that he thinks they'll get 100 in one of their next 2 games. So we'll see.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, they've been flirting with it. 96, 97 points. So it's only going to be a matter of time. And it's also only a matter of time until Monday Night Football tonight between the Packers and the Eagles. And there was a specific poison pill in the Mike Parsons trade to prevent him from becoming an Eagle. We'll talk about more on that on the other side. This is D.N.D. on the Game Radio Network.
It's a celebration.
Want to watch D.N.D? They're live on YouTube, Facebook, and X right now.
There you go.
There we go.
Just search 97.3 The Game.
iHeartRadio. Here are the top Steve Miller Band songs that you've thumbed up. Number 3, Take the Money and Run.
Bobby Sue, took the money and run. Go on, take the money and run. Go on, take the money and run.
Number 2, Rockin' Me.
I know that it's true that all the things that I do will come back to me in my sweet and time. Keep on rocking me, baby.
Number 1, The Joker.
I play my music in the sun. I'm a joker, I'm a smoker, I'm a midnight toker. I give my loving on the run.
Hear more from the Steve Miller Band and similar artists now. Search for Steve Miller Band on iHeartRadio. All your favorite music, all your favorite stations, all free.
Now, a year in rock spotlight, 1967.
Try to set the night on fire.
In January of 1967, Los Angeles band The Doors released their debut album, which eventually goes to number 2, and features the single Light My Fire, which goes to number 1 in July. The Rolling Stones released Ruby Tuesday, an ode to a groupie written by Keith Richards. The song takes them to number 1 in the U.S. in March. And San Francisco band The Jefferson Airplane released the surrealistic Pillow album, scoring 2 top 10 hits with White Rabbit and Somebody to Love.
Don't you want somebody to love? Don't you need somebody to love? Wouldn't you love somebody to love? You better find somebody to love.
In March of 67, Buffalo Springfield re-releases their debut album to include the hit single For What It's Worth. In April of 67, Give Me Some Lovin' by the Spencer Davis Group goes to number 7 in the U.S., with vocals by 17-year-old Steve Winwood. And in May, Elvis Presley marries his 21-year-old girlfriend Priscilla in Las Vegas. In May, Mitch Ryder hits number 4 with Devil with a Blue Dress, Good Golly Miss Molly. And the Jimi Hendrix Experience released their debut in the UK. In July, they toured the U.S. as the opening act for the Monkees in support of the U.S. album release.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more from 1967 coming up.
Jordan Love and the Packers try to bounce back tonight from their loss to the Panthers.
I think you bounce back by just coming back in the building, getting back to work, and finding ways to improve. Keep stacking the days and keep that mindset that it's a long season. We just got to take it a week at a time and get back to that 1-0 mindset.
It's Green Bay and Philadelphia on Monday Night Football. We are getting you ready all day on the game.
iHeartRadio. Here are the top Prince songs you've thumbed up. Number 3, Little Red Corvette.
It was Saturday night. I guess that makes it all right. You say, baby, I ain't got enough gas. Oh, yeah. Little red Corvette. Baby, your mind's too fast. It's
Number 2, 1999.
2000 party over. Oops, out of time. So tonight I'm gonna party like it's 1999.
Number 1, When Doves Cry.
Baby, you're just like my mother. She's never satisfied. Why do we scream at each other? This is what it sounds like when doves cry.
Hear more from Prince and similar artists now. Search for Prince on iHeartRadio. All your favorite music, all your favorite stations, all free.
iHeartRadio goes one-on-one with Neil Sean of Journey to ask why he believes their fan base still exists.
I think that we keep bringing it. We put on a good show, and I give 150% every night. That's all I know, and I think the rest of the guys do too. And we have some great songs that we're lucky enough and have been blessed enough to have them be etched in stone, so to speak, and have not gone anywhere. There's been a lot of other bands from my era where their songs have not stuck like ours have with people's lives, and we're very fortunate. It's mixed, it's young, medium-aged, and older people, and I look out and I see about 4 generations of people.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more Neil Sean and all your favorite artists.
This is The Game, home of No BS, D.N.D, and Drew and KB every weekday. Live on the iHeartRadio app and YouTube, Facebook, and X. Just search 97.3 The Game.
Let's go, 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 go. Your mama don't dance and your
D.N.D here on the game. Dave Gasper, Nick Bruzewitz here with you on a Badgers Victory Chicken Monday and a Packers Football Monday as well. Packers playing Monday Night Football here tonight, and they got Mike Parsons as a big part of their defense. Very excited to see Mike Parsons playing against Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley, see what he can do to mess things up for the Eagles defensively. And Jerry Jones also famously would like to see Mike Parsons mess things up for the Eagles and not be on the Eagles. Nick, this news came out over the weekend that back during the trade that the Packers made to get Mike Parsons, there was a poison pill put in there, as he put it, to prevent the Packers from flipping Micah Parsons to the Philadelphia Eagles. So there's a condition in the deal that if the Packers traded Parsons to any team in the NFC East, primarily the Eagles, but any team in the NFC East, that the Packers would also owe the Cowboys their 2028 first round pick. So essentially be Parsons for 3 first rounders put in there. And as a way to basically put in like, okay, no matter what happens, I am not going to see Mike Parsons in a Philadelphia Eagles uniform. And the Packers also put it on Kenny Clark. They're like, all right, you know what? Fine. If you don't want us to trade Parsons to your division rival, you're not going to trade our longtime guy, Kenny Clark, to an NFC North rival. Otherwise, you owe us your first round pick. And frankly, I think the risk of Kenny Clark getting flipped to the NFC North is a little bit lower, especially concerning it would cost them a first round pick. But still, I mean, you got to admire the pettiness of Jerry Jones to ensure that Micah Parsons is not a Philadelphia Eagle.
Yeah, and I'd imagine from a Packers perspective that wasn't necessarily a major deal. They were like, okay, whatever. I mean, I think the Packers' full intention is to trade for a guy that's going to help them be in Super Bowl contention for years to come, including that 2028 season. So we'll see if it ends up being something of a conversation down the road. I think, and maybe I'm wrong, but my assumption is that this happens more often than we realize, that there are, contingencies and deals like this, like you trade a player, just build it into the deal that they can't trade him into a division. Maybe it doesn't happen, but it makes a lot of sense to me. If I'm the Eagles, I want Micah Parsons. They had attempted, I guess, in the past to potentially inquire about getting him. But Jerry's not dumb. He saw what happened with Saquon. You know how much value he brought to the Eagles and how much that kills Giants fans to see. And he definitely is not going to deal with any of that. So build that into the deal. Make sure that Micah Parsons can't be in your division. Interesting reporting for that to come out yesterday. Why not in 2 months ago when the deal was made? But or pre-deadline. I mean, it would have made a lot more sense to know about that recently. But I guess it comes out at some point, and now we know.
Yeah, according to Adam Schefter, who put it out there. I mean, there were these conditions so that the Packers and the Cowboys could not trade their 2028 first round picks, and everyone else in the league was kind of looking at that during these trade talks. And they're like, I wonder why. Apparently, no one had any idea. Then finally, they dig in and find out that these are the conditions. And it comes out now, right as Micah Parsons is about to play the Philadelphia Eagles. And this has happened before. In 2008, the Packers traded Brett Favre to the New York Jets, and they had a poison pill in there to say that the Jets could not trade him to an NFC North rival because then they would owe the Packers 3 first-round picks. And Brett Favre went there.
There was 1 year left for Favre with the Jets.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just interesting. Don't flip him mid-season back into the division for 3. Yeah. Interesting stuff, nonetheless.
Yeah, but they put him in there. Yeah, and I figure, you figure why not? Because, I mean, from Jerry Jones' perspective, he's looking at it. It's like, look, he has obviously the decision to not want to send Parsons to the Eagles. He's got that dead set in his mind. He cannot go to the Eagles. But the Green Bay Packers do not have such beef with the Philadelphia Eagles. They're not in their division. They're not going to be as worried if they have to trade him for whatever reason they potentially might have to. So it's like, okay, you put that provision in there to get yourself an extra first round pick if they decide to, if they forget about it or something. But it's a way to prevent it, at least for a little bit, at least for a couple of years. I think when you get to 2028 and he would still be on contract, I believe, then after the first round pick goes by, then I suppose you technically could trade him to the Philadelphia Eagles, or he could go there in free agency if he reaches that at some point. So there's always that possibility, but Micah Parsons is going to be a Packer for the foreseeable future. And I mean, you got to admire the pettiness here from Jerry Jones. You really do, because the pettiness, I think, is what led to this entire trade to begin with him thinking that they had a deal, they had a handshake agreement to have a contract extension without his agent present. Which, I mean, Jerry, you've been negotiating contracts, you've been a GM long enough. You should know you can't do that. You can't negotiate a contract extension with a player without his agent present. That's just not how it works, Jerry. But he was so offended by it that it's like, okay, well, you know what? If you're not going to take it, then I'm just going to trade you away, because it's that kind of pettiness. And it's that kind of pettiness that put this provision in there for this trade. And maybe that's also why you kind of look at it from the Packers side, or look at it from the outside perspective and say, yeah, the Packers really didn't give up too much. They probably should have maybe given up more for Micah Parsons, but they didn't. It was just 2 first rounders and Kenny Clark. And maybe that poison pill, that conditional agreement that, okay, we will not send him to the Philadelphia Eagles, maybe that also kind of helped put them over the top. Because even if the Eagles put in the Eagles could have traded Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley, their entire defensive front 4, and their next 8 first-round picks. They could have offered that for Micah Parsons, and Jerry Jones still would have said no. So
maybe a little bit of hyperbole there, but
a little bit of hyperbole, but you get the point, Nick.
I get the point. Jerry wasn't going to trade him somewhere where he didn't want to trade him. In the Packers, I do think Jerry knew that they were going to get the Packers this year, and he wanted Micah to come into Dallas, into Arlington, and lose, and then he would be the winner in that deal. Hey, I beat you, and ultimately they end up tying. This isn't a major storyline here. I don't think this is much of a big deal, but it is interesting how this stuff works. This allows us to peel back the curtain and see some of the details, the behind the scenes on how this stuff transpires. We all kind of have assumptions about how a trade works. We'll never understand the full length of all the legal transaction portions of it, how it all ends up breaking down, how things are negotiated. But it is interesting. I mean, because this is like, we all play fantasy football, I think, and you make a trade in fantasy football and it's on a whim. This is much more calculated and well established. I made a trade earlier in a league at which, for those that are unfamiliar, I'll dumb it down. In a dynasty league, you keep all the guys every year. You got your team. You have them forever. If you want to trade them, you trade them. Otherwise, you keep them. But you have first round draft picks, second round draft picks, etc. I made a trade that had some contingencies earlier this year that, if this player finishes in the top 10 at his position, I get an additional draft pick down the road. And it's just how it all works. I mean, it's crazy to see how real life can mimic fantasy world in different ways. And Micah Parsons, I don't care what it took to get him to Green Bay. It's pretty exciting that he ended up there.
Yeah, it is. And you'd have to imagine for this team, because this is going to be a game where the Packers are coming off a tough loss to the Panthers, and now you got Monday Night Football, you got prime time, you got Mike Parsons, playing his hometown team as you think of, because he grew up in that Philadelphia area, and went to Penn State, and this is something where You're just kind of excited to see where it ends up going. And Micah Parsons is going to be a storyline no matter what game that the Packers are playing in. And this just kind of adds a little bit of extra on top of it because, and now like Mike Parsons, like it is locked in as much as it possibly can. It's like they wanted to prevent him from being in that uniform as much as possible. But it's just some incredible excitement for tonight's game. Just adds that extra layer.
No doubt. And I'm looking forward to Parsons getting a pressure today. How about that? He didn't get one last week. First time in his his short but well accredited career that he hadn't gotten at least one pressure. You're going to need it. This is a team that's really damn good on the other side. And if the Packers are going to win tonight, it's going to be because they held their own on both sides of the ball. And it starts with Parsons on the defensive side for Green Bay.
Yeah, it does. And they're going to need him to have a big game. And really all these guys, because that's an explosive offense for the Philadelphia Eagles. Unnamed in the 920 Texan. Didn't Favre retire again with the Jets, and they just released him because they didn't want to deal with it? And that's how he got to the Vikings. Yeah, that's that.
I was a child. Some of those details slid past me. In retrospect here, as I reflect on it, that makes a lot of sense. He's also sent the article that outlined the transaction for saying, he had no intention of returning to football. But yeah, the Jets cut him. So yeah, then he was able to go to the Vikings. Imagine how frustrating that would have been for them.
Yeah. Was that year 2 or 3 of Tractor Watch?
That's probably year 6, right? I think Doug said that the last few years in Green Bay, there was Tractor Watch, and then he leaves, and then there's still Tractor Watch, and then there is he's at the farm, he's done with football, and then he comes back again. But yeah, that poison pill situation that you broke down with the draft picks for the Packers, wonder how that worked, because they cut him. They didn't technically trade him to the Vikings. They didn't. He signed with them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Packers got Favre. Credit to him. Talk about petty. Great workaround.
Oh, yeah. He found his way around it. Yeah, you don't have to worry about trading me. I'll just retire. I'll convince everyone I'm fully retired so that they just release me. And then he's going to be like, I think I'm going to play, and ends up going to the Vikings. But yeah, it's that breakup was not the best. It was not great. How all that went down, and there's a lot of drama with all that, and that's where you almost kind of appreciate where with Aaron Rodgers with his breakup. I mean, it was still kind of, you saw it coming a couple years out, and he ends up getting traded, moving on, but there isn't quite that level of animosity, it seemed like, as there was between Favre and the Packers and Aaron Rodgers and the Packers, because Aaron Rodgers had his choice of places to go. Minnesota seemed like a spot that could be a landing spot for him, and instead he ends up with your team, Nick, Pittsburgh. And by the way, they had a rough one yesterday. I mean, that was brutal.
Yeah, it was one of the worst games of Rodgers' long, really incredible career. They were showing the stats late in the fourth quarter, lowest passer rating ever, second worst here, third worst ever. I mean, really bad. They get a touchdown drive late in the game. I didn't see how that changed things in terms of, where it stacked up with his worst performances. But yeah, no way did they have a chance to win last night. Almost from the get-go, their offense was dead. So yeah, Aaron's kind of floating, in the background right now. He's not really a front stage character in the NFL anymore. And the Steelers are in a position right now where they're just fighting to make the playoffs. I think making the playoffs would be enough to feel like it was a successful season. But Aaron wants more.
So would you say Rodgers is retreating into the darkness? And with that, Yeah, it's that was certainly a rough one there last night for Rodgers and the Steelers. But tonight we got Monday Night Football between the Green Bay Packers and the Philadelphia Eagles. Doug Russell will have Packers game day coming up at 3:00 here. We got lots more coming up for you until then. We're going to hear from Matt LaFleur coming up next. His Saturday press conference went a little bit longer than normal. So his Saturday press conference is usual, Friday press conference, but he went quite a decent amount of time on Saturday. So we will get those comments from Matt LaFleur to you on the other side. Stay with us. This is D.N.D. on the Game Radio Network.
It's all because your mama don't dance and your daddy don't rock and roll. Your mama don't dance and your daddy don't rock and roll.
Stay tuned.
Yes.
D.N.D. will be back in just a moment. It's Monday Night Football at Lambeau Field. Does it get any better? We don't think so. Listen right here all day as we get you ready for Packers and Eagles at Lambeau Field.
It's a very difficult team on both sides of the football and even on special teams as well. So I do think they're a complete football team. And sometimes the numbers kind of get skewed in regards to what you actually are seeing on tape.
On the game.
Now, a year in rock spotlight, 1972.
In May, the Rolling Stones spend the year recording in southern France and released the double album Exile on Main Street. It goes to number 1 in both the US and the UK. California band the Doobie Brothers score a hit off their second album Toulouse Street with the single Listen to the Music. More from the summer of 72, Curtis Mayfield is back on the charts with a soundtrack for the film Superfly. The album yields 2 top 10 hits with Freddy's Dead and the title track. And former Zombies keyboardist Rod Argent has a hit album and a number 5 single in the US and the UK with Hold Your Head Up.
Hold your head up. Hold your head up. Hold your head up. Hold your head up.
Harry Chapin's performance of the song Taxi on The Tonight Show 2 nights in a row leads to a hit. And struggling UK band Mott the Hoople get help from fan David Bowie, who produces their album and writes them a hit, All the Young Dudes, which peaks at number 3 in the UK and in the top 40 in the States.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more from 1972. Coming up.
If you missed no BS, you missed out on this.
Voice of the Green Bay Packers, Wayne Larrabee hanging out with us here. After how emotional Pittsburgh was and how much everyone's looking forward to Philadelphia, this wasn't super surprising to see the lack of juice, was it?
I would love to argue with you on that, but I really can't. The emotion, the ebbs and flows, the ups and downs, they get even the best of teams. But the key is really the really good, mature teams find a way to play over that. And, you know, you're exactly right, Billy. The emotion, that Pittsburgh game, okay, the players and the coaching staff, especially going into that game, tried to downplay it as best they could. That game meant a lot to that football team. And I saw it in the locker room after the game. Those guys were hanging around in Pittsburgh, and they were savoring the moment. And it was a big deal because it was a time for them to prove that their guy, Jordan Love, not only was surpassing Aaron Rodgers at this stage, a better player, but they were intent that he would be able to beat Aaron Rodgers in a matchup, maybe the only matchup they'll ever have against one another.
Billy and Armin are talking about all of your favorite teams each morning from 6 to 10 on The Game.
iHeartRadio. Here are the top Foreigner songs that you've thumbed up. Number 3, Hot Blooded.
I show you loving like you never knew. That's why I'm hot-blooded. Check it and see. Feel the fever burning inside of me. Come on, baby, do you do more than dance?
Number 2, I Want to Know What Love Is.
To change this lonely life. I want to know what love is. I want you to show me.
Number 1, Cold as Ice.
You're as cold as ice. You're willing to sacrifice our love.
Hear more from Foreigner and similar artists now. Search for Foreigner on iHeartRadio. All your favorite music, all your favorite stations, all free.
iHeartRadio is the easy-to-use app for music and radio. Download the free iHeartRadio app today.
iHeartRadio goes one-on-one with Rick Springfield to get some insight on his latest release, Rocket Science.
It's a guitar-based record for sure, and I love big hooks, and not a country record at all. It's a rock and roll record, but it does have some country elements.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more from Rick Springfield and all your favorite artists.
Animals need friends. For a list of 10 easy things you can do to brighten their lives, please write People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals. That's Peter, Norfolk, Virginia 23510. Thanks.
Welcome back to D.N.D. here on the game. Dave Gasper here along with Nick Bruzewitz on this Football Monday. And this is an exciting game coming up for the Green Bay Packers. Monday Night Football against the Philadelphia Eagles. And a lot of anticipation, a lot of buildup for it. The loss last week against the Panthers, it felt like a trap game, Nick, as we were kind of talking about heading into that Panthers game, and sure enough, it ended up being one.
Yeah, it definitely did, and it doesn't make things feel any better looking at what happened yesterday. You know, the Panthers lose handily to the 1-win, now 2-win Saints, right? It's just like Packers, if this team doesn't end up reaching their ultimate goal of being a Super Bowl team, you know, in hindsight, we're going to be able to look back and say, yeah, we probably should have known when they lost to the Panthers or when they lost to the Browns. But this is your opportunity tonight to flip the narrative, beat a team that you couldn't beat last year in 2 chances, one in Brazil, one in the postseason. This time, though, you'll be at home and get back on track because this year has been a mixed bag. You've beaten the team. This is plural. If you can win this one tonight, you beat the Lions earlier this season. You went 0-2 against them last year. And now you got a chance to beat the Eagles here at home. It's a gold package game, so that'll be a great conversation tomorrow if there's a lot of Kelly Green, a lot of Eagles fans in attendance. Weather's not looking necessarily terrible, but it's colder than it was last week by a lot. There's a lot of snow here in Madison. It landed, and it has not melted yet, which makes me feel a little disappointed.
Yeah, and that's tough, too, for this to be a gold package game. Being on a Monday night, trying to drive up there, you got work throughout the day, trying to drive up. Yeah, weather's,
well, the gold package games this year are Thursday and Monday.
Yeah, that's like, come on, like, can get us a little bit of a break here. But also, I mean, for that Thursday game against the Commanders, gold package got some respect from Matt LaFleur and from everyone else. They showed up. So it was great to see there, but yeah, it's just kind of a tough line for the gold package ticket holders this year. Right. I mean, to get the Thursday, to get the Monday, it is just brutal. But hey, they showed up for Thursday. They showed up for that game, so maybe we'll see gold package really kind of standing up and repping here today.
That's right.
For Monday Night Football. And Green Bay, I mean, they're going to need to stand up here and be repping as well because coming off that loss, it seemed like they were looking ahead to this game. And since you've been looking ahead to it for so long, maybe we'll see them have a better result along with it. That's the hope at least. Matt LaFleur is certainly hoping for that as well. And as promised, here's what Matt LaFleur had to say during his Friday/Saturday press conference.
Rich seemed to indicate that McManus is the kicker for this week.
Yeah.
Where did that decision come down to?
Well, I think you look at the total body of work. I think you guys probably read into what I said a little bit too much in terms of I feel as though, and this is the way we're always going to approach it, every spot is a competition. So
any concern with Golden? Was that just kind of a rest day for his shoulder yesterday?
No, I mean, it's just one of those deals that he's fighting to play, and we'll see how he's feeling today, whether or not he goes out there and practices. But it's just he's got to be able to handle everything that we're throwing at him.
So did he have a setback or
no setback? No, this is totally day by day.
How's Wicks looked last couple of days, and is he ready to get back, you think?
Hopefully. I think he had a decent day or a good day yesterday, although he was limited. So we'll see how he's feeling out there today and then make a decision.
The last several games, the scoring in the second half compared to the first half has been quite different. I know there's a lot of factors in play, but is it adjusting to what the defense is doing, or what stood out to you in that regard?
No, I think it all comes down to ability to execute and just maximizing your opportunities. Certainly, self-inflicted wounds at times. And so we just got to be more consistent against a defense that I think is a pretty good defense.
Matt, how do you view your time with Jair? There were some good times, there were some injuries. How do you view it?
Yeah, I mean, we all know the type of player that when he's healthy, that he can be. And unfortunately, going back to what happened, I would say in the Pittsburgh, that's where it kind of flipped, and his availability was very inconsistent after that.
How have you thought Nixon and CB have played? Obviously, you brought in Samuel for a visit the other day. What have you thought of your starters?
Yeah, I think those guys, I was really proud of how they've been competing and challenging. And the one thing that, regardless of position, but let's just say the corner position in particular, there are going to be times where guys are not new, but I just don't want to have the gimme plays, like where we're playing off, we're playing soft. And I think our guys have been challenging, and sometimes they're going to catch a ball on you, and it's just how resilient are you? I think that is a position where you got to have the memory of a goldfish.
Kind of playing hurt or trying to play hurt and just wasn't able to keep
No,
it.
that was a new injury that occurred in game.
So what is the plan for him going forward, do you think?
It just we're trying to get him back as quickly as possible.
With Lucas, is that injury a bit more significant than you thought?
Absolutely. I think it was, it did not heal as quickly as we thought. I think injuries are always a tough deal. Sometimes they're a moving target. So I think that everyone's a little bit different, but the hope was that we'd have him back before this, and that hasn't been the case, but it's certainly not anything he's doing or not doing to try to get back.
So is the hope that he'll still be back sooner than later, or is IR at this point?
No, I think sooner than later.
A procedure? Or?
No.
Matt, I don't want to ask a Paul almost game plan question like earlier in the week, but you used X closer to the line of scrimmage. You obviously had the sack. Are you and Jeff looking for ways to get him more involved than just erasing team's ability to go down the field against you?
Yeah, I think absolutely. I think you're always trying to get your best players involved in any facet of the game. And that was one of those where you call a safety blitz, and he made a nice play on it. Unfortunately, we didn't come up with a football, but I think that's also a good lesson for all our guys. Hey, that ball is on the ground. It's got to be ours, because we see them every week. I've Connor Lewis get up there and show stuff from around the league. There was one in the Chicago Cincy game last week that was ruled an incomplete pass, but you just never know how those are going to be ruled. So we need everybody to just get on the ball, regardless of whether you hear a whistle or don't hear a whistle. Many times they're so close.
You mentioned the challenging of the cornerbacks a minute ago. Is that a byproduct of having the pass rush where they can do that? I'm assuming.
Well, I think that definitely gives you maybe a little bit more courage to trigger and sit on some things. But you also got to play situations too. So there's other variables that play into that.
You said last week your opinion on trap games. What about measuring stick games? Like, do you have a feel for where your team is right now in relation to what you think it's capable of? And is this a game where you can get a better idea of that, or is that nonsense?
I mean, that's probably something for you guys. I'm not going to sit here and say that doesn't creep into people's minds. I'm sure that absolutely does. I'm telling you from my perspective as a coach, like I view all these games the same in regards to, I think every week is a measuring stick to see, can you go out there and perform at your best? I mean, that's really all you can ask anybody is, to play up to your standard, your capabilities. And when that standard is not met, win or lose, it's disappointing. So I think, what a great opportunity. Obviously, Monday Night Football, defending world champions, Lambeau Field. I don't think it gets much better than that. And this is a really good football team, obviously, and they have shown that consistency for a number of years now. I mean, they got star power on every level and in every phase. I think Nick's done a hell of a job there. And so in that regard, it is a great test for us.
So do you feel like I know how good you felt about this team going into the season. Do you feel like you have a good handle on where you are compared to what you're capable of? Because you have a good team, but it's been inconsistent at times.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the challenge. Like I said, every week, can you play up to your level and can you do it consistently? I mean, that consistency is the greatest measurement of performance. So any team can go out there and do it one time, but can you put repeat performances out there? And unfortunately for us, I don't think we've done that. So, the other thing that I don't think we've done a great job of is just playing a complete game in all three phases. There's been moments of really good stuff, and then there's been moments of really bad stuff. So I think it's, like I said, there's a really good football team in all three phases. It's a great challenge for us. And, hopefully we can go out there and play our best ball.
On an offensive line, we've talked about this before, but if you're healthy, why do you rotate guards? And I can think of 2 or 3 different reasons why, and how common is that? How about player development or competition or keeping guys like defensive line, keeping guys fresh? What's the main reason you do that?
All 3 of those. I mean, you knew the answer. You answered your own question.
I watched the game.
Do you want to come
Sure.
work with us?
Sure.
All right. I like where your head's at, Mike.
But it's not common, right?
No, it's not. It's something that I do recall doing back when I first got in the league in Houston. We had a situation like that where we'd rotate guards. And I do think, you mentioned it, the D-line is a position typically where there is more rotation and, you're always getting a fresh body thrown at you. So when you feel good about multiple people, of course, you want to keep them playing, keep them engaged, keep them a part of everything, and keep developing them. So I think that's kind of where we're at.
So something you saw in Houston.
It is.
Last one. He's good.
Thanks, Matt.
All right, guys. Have a good one.
There was Packers head coach Matt LaFleur on a relatively chipper press conference over the weekend there, just having some fun with Mike Clemens and asking him to join the staff. But yeah, it seems like the mood's maybe a little bit lighter there towards the end, but a lot of excitement for this game and these guys getting ready.
Yeah, you got to be fired up. This is the type of game that you hope that you can be in a position to be a head coach in. I mean, this is a measuring stick opportunity. This is the defending champs. They're coming to your stadium. It's Monday Night Football. It's going to be below 32 degrees. So, I mean, if there's any sort of precipitation, it will be snow. I mean, this is an opportunity to flex your muscles as the Green Bay Packers after what I think was their worst performance of the year last week.
Do you need this game to prove that you are an actual Super Bowl contender this year? Do you need a win in this one for you to put the Packers in that category?
Well, no, you don't need to win this one to end up ultimately being that, but winning this one would suggest that you can be a Super Bowl caliber team. So, I mean, you win today and you're back in the Super Bowl discussions. It depends on how it looks. I mean, if something happens, if something more unforeseen, Jalen Hurts gets hurt or something, and the Packers win as a result of that, then there's going to be some nuance to my answer. But if this is relatively fully healthy battle, strength versus strength, Packers come out on top, you got to feel good about their chances because the Eagles are the team to beat in the NFC. They've stayed atop the standings all season long. They've won significant games, and they've been the team to beat since they beat the team to beat. the defending back-to-back defending champion Kansas City Chiefs. So
I was just gonna say that's a Dougism right there, where you're not the team to beat until you beat the team to beat.
That's the reality.
Yeah, but it's absolutely true. And right now the Eagles are that team to beat. So for the Packers to put themselves in that category, a win absolutely does take you there, but does a loss take you out of being there, of being that potential team? Yeah, I would agree with you, Nick. I don't think it necessarily takes them out of it. Now, it depends, again, kind of more nuance here, but it kind of depends on how that loss looks. If you lose by 3 touchdowns, then maybe that would take you out of there. If you just look completely listless against them, that might take you out. But this is a close, hard-fought battle, and it kind of comes down to one possession either way. It comes down to the last drive of the game. I don't think it would necessarily take the Packers out. So
my argument would be I don't think they're in as it stands today. So it's not like losing wouldn't take them out of anything because they're not even in it.
They're not there
need to win today to join the group. If they lose, they stay where they're at. And if they lose today, they are out of the playoffs if the season ends today. They would be out of it. They would not be in the NFC postseason picture. The Chicago Bears at 6-3 would be in. They would be out of it. The Green Bay Packers.
Oh,
so that's what this means. Win a game and you're still in the playoff picture and you're still in lead in your division. Lose, season ends today, you're not even a playoff team.
Yeah. And well, thankfully the season does not end today, but also, I mean, you look back at 2 weeks ago, and we were talking about the Packers team as the number 1 seed in the NFC with their record and where they're at. So a lot can change in just a couple of weeks. Still a lot of games left, a lot of very close teams there at the top. So yeah, I totally see that. I mean, if you're not in the playoff picture, it's hard to be considered that kind of Super Bowl contender. So you need that win here to stay in. It's a big game, massive one coming up here tonight. And head coach Matt LaFleur just heard his comments there on Saturday leading into this one. And kind of the big news coming out of that, Brandon McManus will indeed be the kicker here for this game. Now, he had talked kind of earlier about how, it's a competitive situation. And immediately our ears perked up thinking, okay, now there's maybe a change in thought process here at kicker. Maybe Haversick is making a move, making a little bit of a run towards a job. And then Matt LaFleur just is like, oh, no, it's going to be McManus. I think you guys read way too much into my comments. Well, I don't know. You talked a little bit differently about it, Matt, than you normally do. So just saying everything's a competitive situation, it's hard to really kind of delineate between that, because you can say the quarterback spot at practice every single day. Oh, well, that's a competitive situation because all these guys are competing each time that they're out there on the practice field. But we all know that that's Jordan Love's job, So when you say this is a competitive situation on a job that has certainly been a little bit in jeopardy, as we've been talking about, as we've been having this kicker controversy over the past several weeks, then you change up your language, how you talk about it. And all of a sudden you're like, oh no, you guys read way too much into that. Well, Matt, you kind of changed how you talked about it.
Yeah, he's cognizant of the phrasing he uses, and it was intentional to maybe put some internal pressure on McManus to let him know, hey man, that this is significant, that there is a belief that Haversick can do what you do and do it at a better level from what we've seen from both of you this season. If McManus costs the team the game tonight, if there's a reason, a missed extra point that leads to a necessity for a 2-point conversion later that they fail, or he misses a field goal that would put them in a position to win or ice the game, or even a game-winning kick, I think that there's a far greater chance next week that Lucas Haversick is their kicker. But they made a financial commitment to McManus. I don't know. I'm not Russ Ball. I don't know how all of it breaks down, if they do to decide to move a different direction. But this week's going to be an outdoor, very cold, very challenging game tonight. On a short week, you'll go to the Meadowlands next week. It's going to be outdoor. It's going to be cold. It's going to be challenging. I mean, this is the type of condition that it's tough to kick in as a player at that position. You'll have some reprieve the next 2 weeks after that, indoors. Actually, that's at home against the Vikings, so I lied. So you got 3 straight outdoor cold games, so deal with it. Figure it out. That's my answer.
Yeah, they are certainly going to have to. And for McManus, he signed, a deal here for $7.5 million. So, or let's see, that's what officially 15. Yeah, 7.5 in base salary here, but base value of 15.3 million, 5 million guaranteed, $5 million signing bonus. So. The dead money, it wouldn't be if he's cut this year. Looks like 5 million. Next year it'd be 3.3 million in dead money. So we'll see. The cap numbers are going to be going up a little bit, but still, as a kicker and someone that you made that investment in, thinking he solidified that spot, not wanting to move on so quickly. I totally get it, but also, Havlicek here. You got two kickers on your 53-man roster. You can only really run with that. You can only really carry that for so long until it becomes problematic, because you've got other depth spot, other places where you need some help. You look at tight end where you lose Tucker Kraft and you lost Ben Sims, and he gets put on waivers because you kept two kickers. You kept Havlicek, so you had to clear 53-man spot. And you put Sims on waivers, he gets claimed, and then you lose Tucker Kraft. So it just kind of leaves one position a little more barren than it probably should be, and that's dangerous. You can only run that for so long. Same thing in baseball. You can't really carry three catchers for a large portion of the season without taking a hit elsewhere on your roster.
Yeah, and it doesn't make sense to have two kickers. No one else in the league does that. So they're going to have to make a decision at some point here in the near future. He's a healthy scratch. Havlicek has been each of the last couple of weeks with McManus back. He's been an inactive coach's decision. So he takes up a spot on your active roster and he's still inactive. So it's not certainly providing the value needed there. Another nugget from that presser was some of the details. That was prior to Saturday's practice. So Matthew Golden had just been a non-participant Friday. He did follow that up with another non-participant tag on Saturday. So he hasn't practiced since Thursday. That was in limited capacity, officially questionable to play tonight. I'm hoping Matthew Golden gets going at some point here, but the more time it takes for him, the more he kind of shuffles to the background of their offenses. They now also have to reinvent it without Kraft. You worry that he may not reap the benefits. The team may not reap the benefits of his value, at least this season. Which becomes a concern because it's a first-round draft pick, and it feels like the Packers have kind of been in a slide recently of not getting the production they need from guys that they're taking on day one.
Yeah, that has been a problem with the Packers of late. And, you look at Jordan Morgan, trying to get him in there on the offensive line. Lucas Van Ness, trying to get him going. He also did not practice at all this week. So that's another first-round pick that is not providing much for you. And we were expecting a little bit more. Out. Yeah, he is officially out. Didn't practice all week, and it puts you kind of in a tougher spot. We'll get into more of that on that first round on the roster discussion with the Green Bay Packers coming up on the other side. Also later on in the show, we got more gambling in sports causing problems and players getting arrested. We got that coming up. We got a trade rumor involving one of the Brewers' biggest stars. That's coming up as well. Badgers quarterback Billy Edwards Jr. is going to join us in the 1 o'clock hour, and we'll hear from him, get his thoughts on this Badgers win on Saturday over the Washington Huskies. So lots of great stuff coming up on the show. We'll close out hour 2 of D&D next. You're listening to the Game Radio Network.
Want to watch D.N.D? They're live on YouTube, Facebook, and X right now.
There you go.
There we go.
Just search 97.3 The Game.
Now, a year in rock spotlight, 1973.
Boston band Aerosmith released their debut album. It fares poorly. It would be re-released in 76 and yield a top 10 hit, Dream On.
You ain't nothing but a hound dog, right on that.
Elvis Presley's live TV special, Aloha from Hawaii, is watched by more than 1 billion people worldwide and introduces the world to the rhinestone white jumpsuit. In February of '73, Alice Cooper has a #1 album with Billion Dollar Babies, along with 3 top 40 singles. Elton John also has a #1 album and his first #1 single with Crocodile Rock. Paul McCartney and Wings have a #1 single with My Love, and the Stooges signed to Columbia Records and released their final album, Raw Power, produced by David Bowie. In March, Pink Floyd releases the now legendary Dark Side of the Moon. It goes to #1 and becomes one of the best-selling albums of all time.
And everything under the sun is you, but the sun is a great spot.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more from 1973. Coming up.
The Packers welcome the Eagles to Green Bay tonight.
They're a great defense. They got some really good players over there, so definitely got a lot of respect for them. And that's where I think we just got to do a good job of trying to find ways to take advantage of what they do. But I think they mix stuff up a lot. They got a really good defense coordinator over there, so they do stuff well. Their stats might not be as well, but I think teams have had success when they hit on their plays.
Stay with the game all day as we get you ready for Monday Night Football.
iHeartRadio goes one-on-one with Elton John to reflect on a day in the life of writing and producing the Goodbye Yellow Brick Road album in France.
We all stayed at the Chateau in bedrooms, along with my producer, Gus Dudgeon, and Bernie, who wrote the lyrics. And I used to get up, and same time as Bernie, I went down to breakfast. Bernie would be typing, not Bernie Taupin. And he would give me a lyric. And I would have my breakfast, and I would have a croissant, and wander over to the electric piano. We had our instruments set up around the breakfast table, a guitar amp, a bass amp, and a drum kit, and the electric piano, and a mic. And I would sit down and write a song to those lyrics. Hence, then, could I'd wake the band up because I'd be playing and singing, and they'd come down and having their breakfast, or even before they started, they would join in, and we would write the song straight away. After we'd finished, we'd go straight over to the other side. Maybe we write 2, but mostly 1. Start the day off with a song and go off to the other side of the courtyard to the studio and record the song and then write in the studio.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more Elton John and all your favorite artists.
Now, a year in rock spotlight, 1973.
Led Zeppelin released their 5th album, Houses of the Holy. It goes to #1 in the US and the UK and yields the top 20 hit Dire Maker.
But I still love you so, and I can't let you go. I love you.
The Doobie Brothers released their top 10 album, The Captain and Me, with the singles Long Train Runnin' and China Grove. And in June, Joe Walsh and Barnstorm have a top 10 album buoyed by the single Rocky Mountain Way. Also in June of '73, George Harrison scores a #1 single, Give Me Love, from the #1 album Living in the Material World. And Chicago's 6th album goes to #1 with 2 top 10 hits, Just You and Me and Feeling Stronger Every Day. In July, 600,000 Jam Watkins Glen for Summer Jam, the largest rock festival ever held in the U.S. It features the band, the Grateful Dead, and the Allman Brothers. And in August, those same Allman Brothers released their first album after the death of Duane Allman and had their only hit single with Ramblin' Man, which goes to #2.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more from 1973. Coming up.
iHeartRadio goes one-on-one with Rick Springfield to discuss some of the differences between his acting career and his music career.
The hardest part is actually getting up at 5 a.m. for being on the road and then going out and playing. That's actually the toughest thing. The traveling has always been the hardest thing. I mean, I can get up at 5 o'clock in the morning for an acting gig because it's not high exertion. You're basically being driven somewhere, and you just got to work on the part. But this shows what I do it for because of the connection. That's my connection to people.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more from Rick Springfield and all your favorite artists.
Goodbye to You is exactly what the New York Giants have said to head coach Brian Daboll. Breaking news just out of the NFL, Brian Daboll has been fired as the head coach of the New York Football Giants. This coming after their 8th loss of the season yesterday, falling to 2-8 in a collapse against the Chicago Bears. Nick, the Giants were up 20-10 with 5.5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. I know Doug hates win probabilities because it's 100% or 0%. You win or you lose, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
But 96.9% chance to win. With 5.5 minutes to go, you're up by 10. And they lose. They lose 24-20. They allow the Bears to come all the way back and win the game. Now, granted, Jackson Dart left this game with a concussion. He had to throw Russell Wilson in there towards the end, and Russell Wilson struggled. Let's put it that way.
Not very good anymore.
Yeah, no, he's not. He's washed. He's cooked. Russell Wilson, it's over the hill. Had a great run in the NFL, but it's just tough to watch at this point. But the Giants collapse. They fall to 2-8. And finally, this is it. That was the final straw for the New York Giants. They had to let Daboll go. And I mean, it is just quite the run from Daboll, where he was NFL Coach of the Year. And just so quickly it's fallen there in New York.
Right. Yeah, it tends to happen pretty quickly in this league. I mean, Ron Rivera was a 2-time Coach of the Year, if I'm not mistaken. And outside of those years, there wasn't a great level of success. So they have blown 4 second-half double-digit leads this year. They've had 3 occurrences where they had 90-plus win percentages, and they didn't get it win probabilities. They blew that game against the Broncos in unceremonious fashion. Jackson Dart has now been evaluated for 4 separate concussions this year. It's just been an ugly, ugly year for the Giants, and they know they've got their guy at quarterback. If he can stay healthy, Jackson Dart appears to be the real deal. I think they win yesterday's game if Dart stays in the game and doesn't suffer the concussion that he did. You have a defense that you have a lot of belief in. You got a running back in Scadaboo that was pretty damn good before he got hurt, and Malik Neighbors, who's out for seasons. I mean,
also pretty good before he got hurt.
Incredible player. And so you have some building blocks, and whoever goes in there next will have an opportunity, hopefully, to maybe spark something. But I don't know. Both these franchises in New York are just cursed.
Yeah, they are. And a lot of it is of their own doing. Just with the way that they've operated there. But it's another rookie quarterback losing his head coach in his first year. I mean, we saw this a bunch last year with, Caleb Williams losing his head coach.
Yeah.
And we see Jackson Dart here, his head coach getting fired. Tennessee Titans, Cam Ward loses his head coach in his first season. I mean, it almost seems like it is just a death knell for a head coach to get a first-round quarterback, because all we've been seeing lately is as soon as you get a first-round quarterback in there, like you get that whole first season with the rookie, and then you get fired before the season is over. How is the rookie supposed to have any sort of continuity and find any sort of success in the NFL if as soon as he gets in there, he gets installed into one system, and then before that system can even really get going, the head coach is out the door?
I know we're up against it here.
Yeah.
I'll make 2 quick points. First and foremost, it's a chicken or the egg type situation, because these are guys drafting rookie quarterbacks, praying to save their jobs if they pan out, right? I mean, this is a desperation move by the Giants to get a rookie to try and save his job. Didn't work out. I think he'll be fine. And 2, today's modern college football climate lends to more opportunity to be okay switching systems. Jackson Dart was at USC and Ole Miss in college. He's had a lot of different play callers. I think he'll be okay.
Yeah, it's it just kind of makes it tough. Try to save his job, and Dart was doing a pretty good job. Went in there. Coming up, speaking of saving your job, Luke Fickell, will hear from him after his win on Saturday. This is D.N.D. here on The Game.
Want to watch D.N.D? They're live on YouTube, Facebook, and X right now.
I like him even more.
Just search 97.3 The Game. Jordan Love and the Packers try to bounce back tonight from their loss to the Panthers.
I think you bounce back by just coming back in the building, getting back to work, and finding ways to improve. Keep stacking the days and keep that mindset that it's a long season. We just got to take it a week at a time and get back to that 1-0 mindset.
It's Green Bay and Philadelphia on Monday Night Football. We are getting you ready all day on the game. If you missed D.N.D, you missed out on this.
Paul Brettel joining us from ESPN Lacrosse, the Wisconsin State Journal, and NBC 26 on the Packers beat. What's been your assessment through the first half of Matthew Golden's rookie season?
Yeah, it's obviously been a mixed bag, right? I think not just looking beyond the production for him, I think when a lot of those receptions have happened are critical and illustrate where he's at in the offense in terms of understanding and also his trust with Jordan Love. I mean, there was that big fourth down play he had in overtime against Dallas. He's had several big third down receptions throughout the season as well. So I think when the production comes, I think speaks quite a bit to where he's at in the offense. And like I said, that rapport with Jordan Love. And in terms of getting him involved more, right, more regular opportunities, that's so much of that. And the coaches have LaFleur, Adam Stanovich, Jason Grable have all talked about this. So much of it is game plan and matchup oriented. There was this one play against Arizona where Golden caught the crosser and then he ran out of bounds, and it was the one where he ran into the police officer on the sidelines, I believe it was. Grable said they dialed that play up for him 3 other times in that game, but because of how Arizona was guarding him or defending that play as a whole, it didn't make sense for Jordan Love to throw the ball there. So just because the ball isn't always finding Golden right now doesn't mean that the Packers coaching staff don't have play calls for him. Doesn't mean that they're not trying to, but so much of what happens on a play is dictated by, all right, what's the defense doing? And one of the things that Jordan Love does do a really good job of is taking what's there, right? All right, what's the defense doing and who's open, regardless of who it is. Could be Christian Watson, could be Malik Heath. The ball most times is going to go to who the open player is. So there definitely is an effort to get him the ball. And I do think with Tucker Kraft being out, and as the Packers look to find ways to recreate that yards after the catch ability that Kraft brought to this offense, I think you're going to look outside the tight end position a bit for some of those opportunities, and getting Golden the ball on shallow crossers, a slant, quick screens, finding ways to get him the ball in space can help recreate that element. And then I think that'll also double as a way to get him more involved as well.
Listen to Doug, Nick, and Dave every weekday from 10 to 2 right here on The Game.
Here are the top Queen songs that you've thumbed up. Number 3, We Are the Champions. Number 2, We Will Rock You.
You got mud on your face, big disgrace. Somebody better put your bag into your place. We will rock you. Sing it. We will rock you.
Number 1, Another One Bites the Dust.
Another one bites the dust. And another one gone. And another one gone. Another one bites the dust. Hey, I'm gonna get you through. Another one bites the dust.
Hear more from Queen and similar artists now. Search for Queen on iHeartRadio. All your favorite music, all your favorite stations, all free.
iHeartRadio goes one-on-one with Daryl Hall to ask how it's going since the opening of Daryl's House Restaurant and Live Music Club.
Ask anybody. Owning a restaurant and or bar and or club is not the easiest thing in the world to do. I recommend that you don't bother trying. It's hard, man. I have a lot of people around here that I'm learning to trust, trying to trust. I have a tendency toward micromanagement because I like everything to be done my way. And at a certain point, you have to let that go because I just don't have the time. There's too many little things that happen and big things that happen. But all in all, having said that, I'm having a great time. It's a fantastic experience because anything intense is good for me. And here I am, working away.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more Daryl Hall and all your favorite artists.
Attention, please. We are the game and the home of D.N.D. with Doug, Nick, and Dave. Weekdays from 10 to 2, live 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app. Watch the show on YouTube, Facebook, and X by searching 97.3 The Game.
This is D.N.D. here on the game. Dave Gasper along with Nick Bruzewitz here on this Football Monday and a Victory Chicken Monday for the Wisconsin Badgers. As we just kind of talked about at the end of last hour, Brian Daboll is out as the head coach of the New York Giants. Rough go of it for him there over the past couple of seasons, and he is out the door and going to be looking for a new job. We also got some more breaking news here kind of during the break, or that just came out here recently. Milwaukee Bucks forward Taurean Prince has sustained a herniated disc in his neck and is expected to miss a significant period of time. Per Shams Charania, Prince shot 42.9% on three-pointers in his first 8 games of the season. So a big piece, Nick, for the Bucks is going to be out for quite a bit of time.
Yeah, it's a tough break to lose someone that you feel like understands your system better than maybe some of the newer additions to the roster. But, Taurean Prince, not trying to be a jerk, it's not like they lost Giannis. You know what I mean? They still have the fixture of this franchise. They still have the guy that makes them go. And Prince will be back at some point down the road, just, hoping and rooting for the best for him.
I'm just waiting on the Shams tweet to follow up and say how this is going to lead to Giannis demanding a trade to the Knicks and get himself out of Milwaukee somehow.
It'll look something like Bucks have lost 3 of 5 and there's no hope moving forward. Giannis
is weighing his options.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
All this because of Taurean Prince. Yeah. Mm-hmm. No. But I don't think Giannis is going anywhere anytime soon. And neither is Luke Fickell. He's not going anywhere anytime soon. Chris McIntosh said as much last week. And then the win over the weekend, the win on Saturday, just kind of helped further solidify that. There was a lot of excitement coming in the air. And typically when we hear from Luke Fickell, it's always just kind of down and just kind of like, okay, we just got to keep pushing, just got to keep trying to find it. So let's listen to kind of a little bit more of an excited Luke Fickell. So after the first Badgers conference win in over a year, here's head coach Luke Fickell at the podium. All right, there was Badgers head coach Luke Fickell after the win against Washington on Saturday, and I love how they brought up the no vest. He still had it underneath, but he's like, hey, with how things went, maybe we got to stick with not showing off the vest here in this one. But I think also more interesting, the question before the conversation on the quarterback situation, getting Danny O'Neal reps, trying to get Billy Edwards back, thinking he might be there, just starting to mix in Carter Smith, getting some reps during practice. I thought that was kind of the fascinating part of it, because you look at it over the bye week here, now that you're in 4 games left in the season, and trying to get him in because he can still take a red shirt for next year. And that kind of helps build some excitement, as he talked about, because Carter Smith, he brought energy, he brought excitement to the team, to that game.
Yeah.
Got the crowd going. And that's where we've been asking here too on the NicoletLaw.com talk and text line. What is your excitement level for this Badgers team after the win on Saturday? 877-794-1973 is the number for the NicoletLaw.com talk and text line, because the excitement is certainly jumping up. And as Fickell was talking about there, you don't really kind of know what you're going to have with the quarterback spot. You're just starting to work in Carter Smith, but you get him some reps. He's somewhat limited in the game, but you throw him out there, and they kept him out there for the rest of it, with the exception of that last drive before the half when they needed to throw the ball. They threw Hunter Simmons out there to throw some passes, and that whole last drive just kind of went sideways towards the end of the half.
It did.
But
they didn't turn it over, which is big, right?
Yeah.
Could have been worse. How about that? Look at me, glass half full. Could have been worse.
Look at
they
you.
did not get any opportunity to put points on the board because of they thought they were going to spike it. They didn't spike it, a penalty, and then the penalty on Atuka for retaliating after the cheap shot on Vinny. It didn't look great.
No.
But yeah, Smith, as quoted by the head coach, brought fire, spark, hope to that game, and it might have as well to the fan base.
Yeah, he did. And the fan base is certainly fired up. Jeff in Fitchburg texting in, it's amazing how many fans can't just enjoy a W they probably shouldn't get. We know they still have issues, but stop complaining and smile when your team wins. Couldn't agree more, Jeff. I mean, sometimes you just got to enjoy a win. Was it the prettiest win? No. I mean, Wisconsin probably still left a ton of points on the board still. I mean, they had a ton of opportunities where they started their drive in positive field position, and they weren't really able to fully capitalize, but they got the win. That's what matters. Let's enjoy it. On the flip side, then we got unnamed in 608. I'm telling you, it's like the Chicago Bears all over again. Get one win and it's all good. Blinders are on. He's got a couple in here just kind of thinking that this is just not all that it's cracked up to be. Congratulations, you won one of the games you were supposed to win. I don't know if Wisconsin was supposed to win this game coming into this. I mean, you're facing a top 25 ranked team. I mean, maybe when we all looked back in July and August, we were thinking, oh yeah, Wisconsin could win this game, thinking that Washington was still kind of bad like they were a couple years ago after they lost Michael Penix Jr. But this was not a game Wisconsin was supposed to win by any means coming into it.
No, they were not supposed to win. They were double-digit underdogs at home in a game that was well expected to be terrible weather. And that tells you everything you need to know. The Badgers were not supposed to win this game. Everything was pointing towards the Badgers being underdogs the rest of the season in every game they play. And that very well might still be the case. I mean, Indiana next week, I think I saw close to 30-point underdogs or something ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
And then Illinois is going to be a good team. That'll be here at Camp Randall. Probably going to be narrow underdogs there. I'd assume less than double digits now that we saw what they did against Washington. And finally, Minnesota on the road. Maybe they could be road favorites, but that would probably require them to beat Illinois the week before.
Yeah, it probably would. And, we'll see how the rest of it ends up going. But it is a positive to take for now to see them just get a win on the board. Just to see one, to borrow from basketball, just to see one go through the hoop, from baseball, just to see one single fall through, just get one base hit, just get something on the board, and they were able to. Mailman Jeff texts in at 877-794-1973 on the NicoletLaw.com talk and text line. The win was awesome. all I can think about is who's going to pony up the money to keep those guys around next year. Yeah, talking Cooper Catalano, Mason Posa, your freshman linebackers, talking Carter Smith, your freshman quarterback as well in this class. And that's part of it, Nick, too. It's the money when it comes to retaining your roster, keeping these guys around, because now you're starting to identify some building blocks for the future. But it's not the way that it used to be, where it's just, oh, yeah, they're just going to be here for the next 2-3 years. You have got to be able to keep these guys in, prevent them from going someplace else in the transfer portal, prevent someplace like Alabama or Georgia or Ohio State or Michigan from trying to poach these guys and get them in the transfer portal and just spend a whole bunch more money on them. Now, the good news is, from what McIntosh was telling us last week, is that there should be a lot more financial resources available to Luke Fickell and the football program in order to keep guys like that around.
Yeah, and I'm not too worried about them keeping these players. And maybe I'm being naive, but you've seen some talented players leave the program in recent years. Yes, but a lot of them have been either upperclassmen or guys that were already here prior to Fickell being here, and their futures weren't necessarily ones that you could go wholeheartedly in and invest on. Like Will Pauling is an example from last year. 2 years ago, he was their leading receiver. Last year, he had a little bit of a down year, a couple of injuries. But, if he was on this team, they'd be a better team today than they are now. But it's his last year of eligibility. And Posa and Catalano are going to be the future. They're the front of this team defensively. I think any conversation about them defensively now for the next handful of years might be Cooper Catalano, Mason Posa, and name your other guys. Offensively, Carter Smith's got a few more games here to prove himself. I'd imagine, though, that they're going to lean in and make sure he's still around next year as well.
Yeah, I would imagine so. And that's where this final little stretch here does help to, one, you're still able to keep a red shirt for him so you can have that extra eligibility. But also he knows that it's like, okay, I'm getting in. This coaching staff does believe in me. I do have the opportunity. I can do this. Here are some ways that I can grow and get better for next year. And Wisconsin can look at it as like, okay, this is going to be our guy to go with. So it's going to be fascinating. It's going to be fun to see what ends up happening with that group. And it's just exciting to have a win. Does this change your excitement level for this team at all? 877-794-1973, because I'm feeling a lot better. I'm feeling a lot more excited about this team and what they're building towards the future. All the negativity that I was feeling, that I was thinking heading into this Washington game where my expectations were low. Now that's changing a little bit. My expectations are still not for a win against Indiana here, because Indiana is just so freaking good, man. They are just too good. But still, it is fun. It is exciting. So let us know your excitement level now for this Badgers team. 877-794-1973. Coming up on the other side here, we're going to talk a little bit of gambling in baseball and gambling in sports, as it has caused a problem yet again. More arrests in the world of sports involving sports gambling. So we'll get into that on the other side. We also got Billy Edwards Jr. coming up in the 1 o'clock hour in about 35-ish minutes from now. That's all coming up here on D.N.D. on the Game Radio Network.
Sounds like through the night I chase my back, no dreams to boogie wonderland.
Day 2.
Yes.
D.N.D. will be back in just a moment. Packers, Eagles, tonight at Lambeau.
It's going to be a test. We know that. It's Monday Night Football. It'll be a great atmosphere, and it's going to be a test. It's going to be a bounce-back week for us, and we just got that mindset to focus on us and our process and all the little details, and just have that mindset to go out there, start fast, and play our best ball Monday.
We are getting you ready for the Monday night matchup all day on the Game.
Now, a year in rock spotlight, 1972.
We were singing bye, bye, Miss American Pie. Drove my Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry. And good old boys were drinking whiskey and rye, singing, this will be the day that I die. This will be the day that I die.
1972, Don McLean goes to number 1 with the single and album American Pie. Paul Simon's solo debut gives him a top 10 hit, Mother and Child Reunion. Fast forward to March, where Neil Young has a number 1 album and a number 1 single with Heart of Gold. And Deep Purple released their quintessential album Machine Head, which goes to number 1 in the UK, number 7 in the US, and features the classic hit Smoke on the Water.
Fire in the sky.
Also in March, the band America releases their debut album that goes to number 1 and yields a number 1 single with Horse with No Name.
See, I've been through the desert on a horse with no name. It felt good to be out of the rain. In the desert, you can remember your name, 'cause there ain't no one for to give you no pain.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more from 1972. Coming up.
If you missed No BS, you missed out on this.
If you ever have jury duty, both the defense and the plaintiff, they can pick the jurors together.
Thanks for that reminder. I've actually never gotten to do jury.
Twice. I got it 3 times.
I got it twice. Once on my 18th birthday, and I went through the entire trial process, and at the end, they cut one person. I was like, of course I get cut. I sit through all this, and I don't even get to be a part of the decision-making process.
No.
I was so mad.
Yeah, I had it 3 times already, Billy. Jeez. What's going on here? You know what I mean?
I'm an outstanding member of society.
You want to do it?
Pay taxes.
I love that
You don't want to do it, Billy.
Yes, I do. I want to perform my civic duty.
I love that.
Everybody sits around and gripes about it.
You're right.
I want to perform my civic duty.
You know what?
Court system. I'm right here.
First time.
My wife gets the notification of the summons this week. She is complaining up and down.
Can you be her tribute?
I can't do this. No, you can't volunteer as tribute. I looked online. I was ready to Hunger Games that thing. Walk right in there. I volunteer as tribute. My wife's got 2 kids at home, basically running a preschool in our living room. I just make jokes on the radio. I will be the guy that potentially has somebody's fate in their hands, and they don't want that for some reason.
You know, I'm proud of you, Billy. I'm proud of that attitude. That's the correct attitude to have.
Be honest with you,
I
I had to hold back from swearing a couple of times because I think
that.
it's bull. It's BS, like the name of the show. 31 years on this earth. I've been available for 12 of them.
Come on, Milwaukee.
They've only given me 1 time as the reserve guy. I called in every hour. I was so juiced. I was dressed.
Sure.
I had a fake briefcase ready to roll down there. I know you can't even bring anything in.
A collared shirt on.
Yes.
Look like Hunter Baumgart.
We're going to offend him?
I don't know that I have ever worn a collared shirt tucked in outside of in a suit. Your boy was suited and booted, ready to roll down there.
So proud of you, man.
To the courthouse.
Yeah.
Call in, automated voice message. The reserve jurors are unneeded for the afternoon of 4/19/24. Dang it!
Listen to No BS with Billy and Armin every weekday from 6 to 10 right here on The Game.
iHeartRadio. Here are the top Stevie Wonder songs that you've thumbed up. Number 3, Part-Time Lover.
I'm with friends and we should meet. Just pass me by, don't even speak. I know the word is sweet when part-time lovers.
Number 2, Isn't She Lovely?
Isn't she lovely? Isn't she wonderful? Isn't she precious? Less than 1 minute.
Number 1, Superstition.
Very superstitious. Let us about to fall. 13-month-old baby broke the looking glass.
Hear more from Stevie Wonder and similar artists now. Search for Stevie Wonder on iHeartRadio. All your favorite music, all your favorite stations, all free.
Welcome back to D.N.D. here on The Game. Dave Gasper, Nick Brusewitz here with you on a football Monday and a victory Monday for the Wisconsin Badgers. And you know who's not feeling victorious today That is Emmanuel Clase and Luis Ortiz, two pitchers for the Cleveland Guardians, who have been indicted on several counts of fraud and conspiracy in a pitch rigging scheme and scandal. This news, just coming out over the weekend here, because both these guys were taken off the field during the season as the investigation was ongoing. And now charges being filed for fraud, conspiracy, bribery, because both pitchers intentionally threw balls outside of the strike zone to start their innings. And their friends, their whoever, gamblers that they were talking to, they tipped them off that I'm going to throw a ball in this inning and in this inning. And because of that, the players got $5,000. $5,000, Nick. These guys are making, even Ortiz, who is making near league minimum, is making $780,000 a year. $780,000 is the minimum that he's making. Clase signed a 5-year, $20 million contract, and he threw it away, throwing all of this away for $5,000 to throw a pitch outside. It's just remarkable to me how these guys are doing when they're paid millions, when they're paid a ton of money. Even Ortiz, who wasn't being paid millions yet, he was getting paid pretty darn close to it, and they are throwing their career away. They are risking it all for essentially pennies. We saw it in the NBA with Terry Rozier and Chauncey Billups. It's like the amount of money that they were getting paid for it. It's like, really? That's it? For what you're making, this is what you gave it all up for? This is what you're risking? And all for $5,000. Well, after Clase getting facilitating one of the moves for Ortiz, he gets a little bit of an extra cut too. So both guys ended up with $7,000.
Good for them.
So wow, whoop-de-doo,
Yeah.
$7,000. You have made 1% of your annual salary back on this, and you have just destroyed your entire ability to make that salary ever again.
Yeah, they literally, as you say, threw their careers away. The action of throwing balls was the case that sunk them. It's always interesting to see how, addiction's addiction, and one way or another, it affects a lot of different people in different ways. And gambling addiction is not unfamiliar. It's very common. Every time we ever hear any sort of advertisement for a sports book, it typically ends with a gambling problem. Call 1-800, because it's a major issue, and it's now seeped its way more prominently into the sports sphere. Gambling on games is not a new phenomenon, but now you're being able to gamble on individual pitches. Pete Rose might have passed away at the right time,
well,
because he did it 50 years ago in different ways.
Yeah, Pete Rose did it in a different way. As the manager of the club, it's kind of similar to the Chauncey Billups thing, although I don't think he was playing poker with anyone from the mafia. But still, that was a problem. And Major League Baseball recognized it immediately. And, as much as all of us have kind of looked at the Pete Rose situation in Major League Baseball and like, MLB came down too harsh on him. He's not in the Hall of Fame. He should be in the Hall of Fame. But, what he did, with gambling as the manager of a club, I really do kind of think like, okay, maybe MLB was right on the Pete Rose thing all along. Because, this is something that can destroy the sports that we love. If gambling comes in and you think that player did not play his best, he is intentionally throwing that pitch outside. And even if it's just one pitch, okay, it's not, you have to give up the game, you have to give up losses. It may not even be that right now, but that doesn't mean that isn't happening, or it couldn't happen, because as soon as you start with this and it's just, I just got to throw one ball, and next thing you know, I just got to give up a base runner, I just got to give up a run, and then once you go from there, I just got to lose the game. And that is something that MLB cannot tolerate. That is something the NBA cannot tolerate. The NFL, no sports league can tolerate. No sports league can survive that. And Now these guys, for $5,000 or $7,000, whatever they ended up getting to help these bettors win $450,000, which is still only about half of what Luis Ortiz's salary is as a league minimum player. It's
right.
It's a ton of money.
Makes that in a month.
Yeah, exactly. It's a ton of money, especially to all of us. $450,000 is a ton of money, but compared to what these guys were making, compared to what they've been earning and what their earning potential is, it's basically pennies. Nick, it'd be like you and I throwing away our career for $20 and a 10-piece McNuggets.
That's right.
What are we doing here? That's not worth it. And speaking of not worth it, guess what these guys are facing? 65 years in prison because wire fraud conspiracy, money laundering conspiracy, wire fraud conspiracy is 20 years you can get. Money laundering conspiracy, 20 years for that. 5 years for conspiracy to influence sporting events by bribery. I mean, it's tax. Now, I don't actually believe that either of these guys will spend 65 years in prison.
No.
But still, I mean, that is a lot of serious time that you could be facing. And certainly their playing careers are over at the very least, because there's no way Cleveland or anyone else is going to want them back on their team after this.
Well, and Clase was a very, very hot name ahead of the deadline that he could potentially be dealt. I mean, Cleveland's got to be punching the air right now. I mean, had they just pulled the trigger and moved him 1 month earlier, I don't know how it would have worked. If he would have gotten elsewhere and then this happened, how, would they have had to have, reversed a trade? But no, Cleveland's on the wrong end of the negotiations here, the wrong end of the situation, and they're in trouble. Just in terms of the assets they lost, high caliber players now that they don't get replacements for.
Yeah, and he was placed on administrative leave right around the trade deadline there on the 28th. So there were some talks right before, but as you're getting up to the deadline, he was kind of taken off the market there. But I mean, Clase, what he means as a pitcher. I mean, he's a 2-time reliever of the year, a 3-time All-Star. He was 3rd in Cy Young voting in 2024. He got MVP votes as a closer.
He's incredible. Now he's not, Yeah. He was a really, really good player.
Yeah, really good. So talented.
And then all of a sudden he was really bad this year. And people were like, what the hell's going up? Now we know.
Now we know. Now we know.
Ugly.
Yeah. Just ridiculous to see these guys do it, to throw their careers away over this. And this is the danger that you face with all these prop bets. And, maybe prop bets have gone a little too far with some of these, because, when you get the players involved in it like this, it is just rife for problems. And Major League Baseball jumping on it as quickly as they can. There's no mafia connections here yet, like we saw with the NBA, but we shall see as more of this info comes out. But yeah, the Emmanuel Clase, Luis Ortiz have been charged, and it is a very tough time for baseball as they end up dealing with that. So also with baseball, the GM meetings are happening this week in Las Vegas, Tim Allen's favorite city, and Billy Schmidt's favorite city, I believe, as well. But the GM meetings are down there. So Matt Arnold of the Brewers is down there right now, and they're having some talks, having some conversations, and we're seeing some rumors start to percolate. We're seeing some talks happening. What might happen, what might not happen this offseason with Major League Baseball. And there is some new information coming out about the Brewers and one of their star players, and what the Brewers could be doing with him this offseason. So we'll get more into that coming up next, right here on D.N.D. on the Game Radio Network.
Him my bottle, and he drank down my last swallow. Then he bummed a cigarette and asked me for a light. And the night got deathly quiet, and his face lost all expression. Said, if you're gonna play,
Want to watch D.N.D? They're live on YouTube, Facebook, and X right now.
I like him even more.
Just search 97.3 The Game. It's Monday Night Football at Lambeau Field. Does it get any better? We don't think so. Listen right here all day as we get you ready for Packers and Eagles at Lambeau Field.
It's a very difficult team on both sides of the football and even on special teams as well. So I do think they're a complete football team. And sometimes the numbers kind of get skewed in regards to what you actually are seeing on tape.
On the game.
Now, a year in rock spotlight, 1975.
In June of 75, the Bee Gees released the LP Main Course, featuring a more dance-oriented sound, and delivered 3 hit singles, including the number 1 Jive Talkin'. In July, Fleetwood Mac shake things up. They add Americans Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks to the lineup and have a number 1 album. And Wings released the album Venus and Mars, which goes to number 1. Their U.S. tour features Paul McCartney's first live appearance in the U.S. since 1966.
Love is fine for all we know. For all we know, our love will grow. That's what the man said. Don't you listen to what the man said. He said.
In August of 75, the Eagles' 4th album goes to number 1 and has 3 top 5 singles, including the number 1 title track, One of These Nights. And the boss, Bruce Springsteen, is featured on the cover of Time magazine, and Born to Run becomes his breakthrough album, reaching number 3 in the U.S.
Come on with the chance like us. Baby, we were born to run.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more from 1975. Coming up.
iHeartRadio. Here are the top Pat Benatar songs that you've thumbed up. Number 3, Love is a Battlefield. Number 2, We Belong. Number 1, Hit Me With Your Best Shot.
Hit me with your best shot. Why don't you hit me with your best shot? Hit me with your best shot. Fire away.
Hear more from Pat Benatar and similar artists now. Search for Pat Benatar on iHeartRadio. All your favorite music, all your favorite stations, all free.
Now, a year in rock spotlight from 1977.
In June of 77, Ram Jam have a top 20 U.S. hit single with the cover of Lead Belly's song Black Betty. Chicago area rock band Styx have a U.S. top 10 album Grand Illusion, including the top 10 single Come Sail Away.
Come sail away, come sail away, come sail away with me.
In July of 77, the Grateful Dead veered towards progressive rock, adding strings, horn, and a choir on their 9th studio album, Terrapin Station.
Terrapin in the middle is screaming. Terrapin.
In August of 77, the King dies. Elvis Presley's found dead in his home in Memphis, Tennessee at the age of 42. Detroit rock vocalist Iggy Pop releases his second solo album, Lust for Life. It's his second collaboration with David Bowie. New York's Billy Joel releases his 5th album, The Stranger. It goes to number 2 in the U.S., with the single Just the Way You Are rising to number 3.
I want you just the way you are.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more from 1977. Coming up.
iHeartRadio goes one-on-one with Rod Stewart as he discusses how remarkable the creative process is.
Yeah, absolutely. That's just sitting around and you just wait for that inspiration of what am I going to write this song about? You know, waiting to come down the aerial into your mind. It's a remarkable experience with writing songs or just creating a book. Anything you create is tremendous.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more Rod Stewart and all your favorite artists.
Darling, you got to let me know. Should I stay or should I go? If you say that you are mine, I'll be here till
It's
the end
D.N.D.
of
here
time.
on the game. Dave Gasper along with Nick Bruswitz. Doug Russell on his way to Lambeau Field, getting himself set for Packers game day coming up at 3:00 as Packers playing on Monday Night Football. And we also have the GM meetings going on in Las Vegas right now for Major League Baseball. Not much really happens in terms of trades getting done, but this is where the groundwork really kind of starts to happen in Major League Baseball, where teams are looking at, okay, what do I need? What do you need? What do I have available? What do you guys have available? And they kind of get a good sense to have some building blocks for trades to be consummated at the winter meetings or throughout the offseason. And Bob Nightingale of USA Today. Now, before you roll your eyes at Bob Nightingale, okay, I know he's got his ups and downs sources, but Bob Nightingale puts out his story from the GM meetings, the free agency and trade rumors that he is hearing. And he's got a section here on the trade block, who is on the trade block for Major League Baseball. And he's got a section here on Freddie Peralta for the Brewers. Now, Freddie Peralta entering his final season of club control at $8 million. The Brewers picked up his option for next year. But after that, he's going to be a free agent. Freddie Peralta is going to earn quite a bit of money in free agency. And the Brewers tend to not want to give that kind of money to pitchers in free agency. So with the history that the Brewers have, Corbin Burns, Devin Williams, Josh Hader, trading pitchers before they hit that mark, would they do the same with Freddie Peralta? Here's what Bob Nightingale wrote in his column for USA Today. Quote, despite the rumors and speculation, the Brewers are planning to keep him, knowing that at $8 million, he's an absolute steal, making 33 starts and striking out 200 batters, and they need him if they're going to run it back again. End quote. All right, so, Nick, sounds like the Brewers are planning on keeping Freddie Peralta. That should put an end to all the speculation of him getting traded. Right? Probably not. Yeah. Probably not. It probably won't put an end to the speculation. And, this has to be kind of pointed out too. The Brewers did kind of say some similar things about Corbin Burns and some other players where it's like, yeah, he's great, but we got to be open to all options. We can't close the door on anything. But we're very comfortable having him. We'd love to have him back. Very key piece to our club. All of that stuff. So I think this could be part of the Brewers planning to keep him for now, but also saying you're going to have to blow me away in order to make this trade happen. And that's really, I think, what the case is. I think the trade still can be made, but the Brewers are going to have to be blown away.
Yeah, I think it's important for the Brewers to get the price that they want for him. I mean, there's really no losing in this situation outside of bringing Freddie back and letting him walk. I mean, and even in that case, you're going to get a compensatory pick if that's the route that they go with. So, yeah, they're not dumb. Like the Brewers are not going to close that door and not acknowledge the fact that they can get value in return for Freddie, right? They're not going to be thick-skulled and say, no, we love Freddie. We want Freddie to be here. End of story. They'll hear offers. And, and that's a huge opportunity for them if that's the route that they go in to see what's what. Freddie's a hell of a player. I think that he's a really, really strong pitcher. Everyone obviously knows that. I think he got snubbed this year. Should have been a finalist for the NL Cy Young. Was not. The only gripe people have with him typically is the length at which he pitches in games. And if he can be a guy, I know he's pretty well established now, that could maybe rear back the velocity an ounce to get another inning of work, I think that'd be something people would trade off for. But Freddie Peralta is a top, 30 pitcher maybe in Major League Baseball.
Oh, yeah.
And that's if it was spread evenly, every team would have one of them. The reality is, of those 30, I think they're probably on 18 different teams only. So, the Brewers have an advantage having him on their roster.
Yeah, and Brandon Woodruff, when healthy, has been one of those options as well. Now, Woodruff is about to be a free agent here, or technically is. He's got the qualifying offer from the Brewers. He has until the 18th to decide whether or not to take it. But I think a lot of that too with Freddie Peralta depends on what happens with Brandon Woodruff. If Brandon Woodruff comes back, whether he accepts the offer or the Brewers sign Woodruff to a new deal, I think there's a very real possibility that you could move on from Freddie Peralta. That could be a bit more likely. If Brandon Woodruff ends up moving on and finding a new home and finding a new team to play for, then I think this statement here from Bob Nightingale that the Brewers are planning to keep Peralta, I think that's going to end up sticking. I think that is what is going to keep Freddie Peralta here for next year, because you want to have at least one of those guys as the leader for that starting rotation next year, because you got a lot of young arms and a lot of unproven arms that are going to be trying to work in that rotation. I see absolutely zero chance that the Brewers head into next year with no Woodruff and no Peralta. So you're going to have at least one of them. Woodruff is the current free agent, so that's the one that you're more likely to lose at this point. And Peralta, you have control over whether or not he comes back. Brandon Woodruff, you don't necessarily have all that much control on if he comes back or not. So I think that's a major factor along with this as well.
I think that you, in all likelihood, would be foolish to not have one of them return. I floated that idea to you last week. Hey, what are the odds? What's more likely? They have both back or neither back? And you said both back. And I think that that's the more likely case, because it's a team that is very much viable, certainly in their division, having won it now 3 straight years, but also in the National League, as we saw, the best record in baseball. And if you kind of pack it in on that rotation and lean in on the really impressive young guns that they have, I think you'd be falling short in the veteran column. So my guess is Freddie's back, Brandon's gone, Woody's gone. But I think I'd lean in with you on the more likely that both would be back than both would be gone.
Yeah, I think that's got to be the case. If you're the Brewers, you just have to be able to find a way to make sure that you have one of them back. And you have, as you mentioned, a lot of those young guys that you want to get starts to. I mean, Quinn Priester, you'd have to imagine is slotted into that rotation next year. Jacob Mizrowski, you have to imagine is slotted in. So, I mean, that only leaves a handful of spots for several other candidates who are deserving and probably could be starters on a lot of other teams. So we shall see what the offseason has as it unfolds. But per Bob Nightingale here, it sounds like Freddie Peralta is going to be staying for 2026. And that is very exciting news for the Brewers and Brewers fans coming off a 97-win season, making a run to the NLCS. So Peralta, a big piece of that all season long. And, coming up next, we've got Badgers quarterback Billy Edwards Jr. He wasn't out there on the field, but he was with the guys and enjoying the celebration. We'll get his thoughts on the Badgers win on Saturday coming up next here on D.N.D.
Want to watch D.N.D? They're live on YouTube, Facebook, and X right now.
There you go.
There we go.
Just search 97.3 The Game.
Now, a year in rock spotlight, 1978.
In June of 78, Darkness on the Edge of Town is released, Bruce Springsteen's follow-up to his breakthrough album, Born to Run. The album charts at number 5.
In the darkness on the edge of town. In the darkness on the edge of town.
Boston-based band The Cars released their debut album. It goes to number 18. It features the singles Just What I Needed and My Best Friend's Girl.
She's my best friend's girl. But she used to be mine.
In July of 78, the Rolling Stones released Some Girls in the U.S. The album and the single Miss You both hit number 1. In August of 78, Boston released their sophomore album, Don't Look Back. The album goes to number 1 in the U.S., selling 4 million copies in its first month.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more from 1978. Coming up. Now, a year in rock spotlight, 1972.
In May, the Rolling Stones spend the year recording in southern France and release the double album Exile on Main Street. It goes to number 1 in both the US and the UK. California band the Doobie Brothers score a hit off their second album, Toulouse Street, with the single Listen to the Music. More from the summer of 72, Curtis Mayfield is back on the charts with a soundtrack for the film Superfly. The album yields 2 top 10 hits with Freddy's Dead and the title track. And former Zombies keyboardist Rod Argent has a hit album and a number 5 single in the US and the UK with Hold Your Head Up.
Hold your head up. Hold your head up. Hold your head up. Hold your head up.
Harry Chapin's performance of the song Taxi on The Tonight Show 2 nights in a row leads to a hit. And struggling UK band Mott the Hoople get help from fan David Bowie, who produces their album and writes them a hit, All the Young Dudes, which peaks at number 3 in the UK and in the top 40 in the States.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more from 1972. Coming up.
Jordan Love and the Packers try to bounce back tonight from their loss to the Panthers.
I think you bounce back by just coming back in the building, getting back to work, and finding ways to improve. Keep stacking the days and keep that mindset that it's a long season. We just got to take it a week at a time and get back to that 1-0 mindset.
It's Green Bay and Philadelphia on Monday Night Football. We are getting you ready all day on the game.
Now, a year in rock spotlight, 1973.
Boston band Aerosmith released their debut album. It fares poorly. It would be re-released in 76 and yield a top 10 hit, Dream On.
You ain't nothing but a hound dog, right on there.
Elvis Presley's live TV special, Aloha from Hawaii, is watched by more than 1 billion people worldwide and introduces the world to the rhinestone white jumpsuit. In February of 73, Alice Cooper has a number 1 album with Billion Dollar Babies, along with 3 top 40 singles. Elton John also has a number 1 album and his first number 1 single with Crocodile Rock. Paul McCartney and Wings have a number 1 single with My Love, and the Stooges signed to Columbia Records and released their final album, Raw Power, produced by David Bowie. In March, Pink Floyd releases the now legendary Dark Side of the Moon. It goes to number 1 and becomes one of the best-selling albums of all time.
And everything under the sun is you, and the sun is a great spot on you.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more from 1973. Coming up.
iHeartRadio soundtrack flashback.
Do you feel the need for speed? 1986's Top Gun thrilled moviegoers and gave us an equally epic soundtrack. Winning an Academy Award for Best Original Song was Take My Breath Away from Berlin.
For more great movie soundtrack hits, check out Popcorn Radio on the iHeartRadio app.
Listen to us live 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app and watch our shows each weekday on YouTube, Facebook, and X. We are the game.
Pack it in, let me begin. I came to win, battle me, that's a sin. I won't ever slack up, punk, you better back up. Try and play the role and you're the whole crew will act up. Get up, stand up, come up, throw your hands up. If you got the feeling, jump up, touch the ceiling. Monsters of funk, someone's fucking jump, yo, I'll bust them in the eye. And then I'll take the punks out, feeling funky. Amps in the trunk and I got more.
Welcome back to D.N.D. here on the game on a Victory Chicken Monday for the Wisconsin Badgers. And we are joined now by Wisconsin Badgers QB1 Billy Edwards Jr. Billy, we have done a lot of these conversations after some tough games, some tough losses, but this one has to feel a little bit more fun, right?
Absolutely. It's been a while, so I'm glad we could have these vibes on our Monday.
What were the vibes like there during the field storm when you had the entire student section, all the crowd getting out there, and in the locker room after that win on Saturday?
Can't be too much for the field storm. I was out there, celebrating with some of the guys. I had a friend of mine that was one of the defensive ends on Washington, so I was going to try and go say what's up to him. And then I turned to my left and saw the student section start sprinting, and I immediately turned around and ran back to our bench because I was like, I can't get caught in the middle of that. I was a part of one last year, and obviously those things get pretty hectic. So I was like, I'm going to go sit this one out. But when we got in the locker room, I mean, it was obviously electric. It was definitely much needed, and you just saw the kind of the hunger and we really needed something like that. So it was good, and obviously to get that kind of celebration in the locker room after, and that that feeling of a win and that enjoyment with your coaches and really across the board with everybody. It was really good memory, and I think something that we're all throughout the whole facility trying to build on.
Billy, it's, a little bit of a balance of emotions watching one of your guys, Danny, go down with the injury, and then Carter get his first crack at it as a collegiate quarterback. How do you balance that type of conversation? Because I think everyone's very much excited and fired up to see Carter out there, but it did come at the loss of Danny, and it's a pretty significant injury.
Yeah. It felt different, right? Obviously being out there and maybe kind of being in a different perspective of, a similar thing happening to, I go down in game one and Danny steps up and kind of hits the ground running. And there was a lot of excitement for that. And certainly, even on that first game when I was in there in the training room watching him, go, there's a lot of excitement for that. And you kind of know all the work they put in behind the scenes, but it was tough. I won't lie, obviously, having a pretty close relationship with Danny. And then, even when they started to bring the cart out, and so then you kind of know, okay, it's serious to some extent. I was, going to walk out to just, give him a quick prayer and give him some love before he went in the locker room. And right before I started walking across the field to that opposite sideline, I was like, here we go, 5. Your time, baby, cut it loose. So it was definitely a mixed emotions, but I think, with obviously across the team, but definitely in that quarterback room, it was, you always want to see that if one of your guys ever go down, whoever steps up next is ready to go and goes in there and does what we all know, he can do. So that was definitely good to see. And obviously, Carter's young and that was his first experience. So, I told him too yesterday when we were watching the tape, like the fact that you can come in here and, we can watch some of the good and the bad and some of the things you got to, clean up after a win makes it a whole lot better to where, there's not that sour taste. It's like, okay, we won. And, I remember my first start against 2022 Northwestern. I was telling them, we probably made it a little bit harder than it should have been. But you get to take those coaching points and those corrections after a win. And obviously with the faction and, kind of how our season's gone to this point, how big of a win that was for us in that locker room. It definitely makes the feelings and, the corrections and all that kind of stuff process we go through on a Sunday feel a lot better.
How difficult is that, Billy, to be a true freshman and just get thrown right into the mix? I mean, obviously he had taken some reps in practice, but he wasn't expecting to get into the game at that point. How difficult is that for a true freshman to jump in there at quarterback after an injury?
Yeah, I can't say I did it myself. My first time really getting thrown into that fire was my redshirt freshman year. So obviously I had, a little bit more kind of time and obviously, not more game experience, but I had a little bit more, time underneath, to get my feet underneath me and really get adapted to college. But like the whole thing, and I think, probably a lot of people, saw it too of like, the kid's a gamer when he goes in there and there's a lot of noise and a lot of, chaos around him. Like he's kind of his even keeled self. And you obviously saw him show some emotion, but, it was to the point where kind of once he got into the game, trying not to give him too many coaching points. And when it'd be TV timeout breaks and he'd be warming up or I'd be telling him something, I'd be like, you're on a grass field in Fort Myers, Florida right now. Like just do what you know how to do. Don't make it bigger than it is. Like you know the game plan, and a lot of the stuff you've been repping for 2 weeks, a lot of it was set up for him in terms of, the ability to let him go out there and play fast and have him be able to go out and execute the stuff at a high level. So just trying to keep him kind of, reminded of like, hey, we're just playing in Fort Myers, Florida right now. You're playing at whatever the heck high school you went to. You're playing on a grass field. You're playing youth ball, whatever it is. Just, don't let kind of some of the external stuff make it bigger than it is. And I think you saw, kind of throughout the game, him settle in and really, do that at a high level.
Billy, this was your first opportunity, I think, to see Camp Randall at its greatest. What was the environment like for you? I know you weren't out there on the field, but what did you make of what you saw at Camp Randall?
I mean, that just electric. I was sitting around like looking at people, looking at, even staff members that had been here for a while. And I was like, holy hell. And they were like, yup. They were like, this is how it should be. And I go, damn right. So that was fun to see. And I think, when you look at it, obviously, do we want to be, do we want and do we think and do we know we can be better offensively 100%? But when you talk about the kind of what, Coach Vic has been preaching since I've gotten here of complementary football, and yeah, we're not doing great offensively, but our defense, gets a turnover and gets us the ball inside the red zone. Boom, we turn into points. Then we pin it deep on the kickoff with Vacos. The whole kind of it was a Wisconsin win with the weather and the crowd and the type of ball it required us to play, or that we ended up playing to get that win. It was really cool. Obviously, did I want to be a part of it? 100%. But sometimes you get a little bit better perspective of things when you kind of get to see it from a further perspective, a bird's eye view per se. So I was definitely enjoying it, just trying to soak it up because, I didn't play in that game, but that's definitely a game and a memory that I'll remember probably for the rest of my life.
Yeah, a fantastic game, Billy. And you mentioned one of the factors there, the weather. I mean, it was super sloppy. It was, rain, freezing rain, kind of turned into snow a little bit. And you guys offensively, it turned to a lot of the run game, and the run game was successful, really a large portion of the night. But, struggles passing the ball. Can you just kind of talk about trying to throw the ball in that kind of weather and the impact that weather has? Trying to move the ball downfield that way?
Yeah, it's tough because like when you go back and look at it, when you watch the TV copy of the game, I'm like, dang, it was snowing that hard, and obviously I'm on the sideline, I'm not in there, and I'm not gripping a football every 5 minutes and feeling kind of the true effects it has, but it definitely makes it tough. And I think you can see it from for their offense too, for a guy, as dynamic as their quarterback is, and as he has been all year, it definitely made it tougher on them. And I think I want to say their, best receiver ended up coming out at some point. I think the running back, they had guys maybe not go down, but have to come out. And in my head, the first thing I go to is, it's probably a little too cold. Their hammies are getting tight. Little stuff like that, that I think makes it tough on offense to push the ball downfield. And I think, with given all the circumstances of the game for us offensively, I think we were like, okay, maybe do we think we're probably, our run game is probably our strength right now? Yeah. And do we want to be able to pass the ball and push the ball downfield more and give guys like, Tretch and Vinny and Jaden Bowder and all those guys opportunities? 100%. But this is kind of, I think the one positive that, you were able to take from that is, we talked about in the team meeting yesterday. Yeah, we didn't throw the ball downfield a bunch. And when we tried to, we weren't, uber successful. And there was a number of factors that went into that, but you never saw the receivers waver. They went down there and played their tails off on special teams, on gunners. They blocked pretty much every play when we asked them to. Like, you saw the kind of team, not get selfish and not, lose and waver from the belief of like, hey, this is what we got to do to win this game. So this is what we're going to go out and do. So from a guy on the sideline and trying to help out and be kind of a coach's role, that was really cool to see.
Badgers quarterback Billy Edwards Jr. joining us here on D.N.D. Billy, last week, a lot of the conversation was centered around athletic director Chris McIntosh, the assurances that he had given to Coach Fickle that he will return next year, and questions were made about how the team would maybe rally around their coach. And you guys, was that a great representation of maybe how the locker room feels about the head coach, that a gutty win in a really tumultuous time in Badgers football? How has the locker room maybe rallied around the coach? What have you seen from this group?
Yeah, I think exactly how you said it. I think, that was really a testament to kind of, how definitely the locker room, but even just the facility as a whole have continued to attack this season. I think Coach Vick kind of said it well of, in his post-game press conference of like, we've all, we put in a lot of hours, a lot of time, a lot of work throughout the off season. I know that, speaking for the players, we all did with the mat drills and the spring ball and the coaches as well. You don't always get what you deserve. And is that an excuse for losing, more games than we like this season? No. But I think the one, testament to that locker room is like, we've never quit. And the same, mentality, attitude, mindset of showing up every day, regardless of, if we're playing the number 2 team in the country or if we're playing Middle Tennessee, it's just continue to show up and put the work in. And there, obviously every week there's been things that we've had to continue to improve on and we put emphasis on, and we've, I felt like especially offensively have continued to make, progress in the right direction in those things. So yeah, I mean, I think that definitely this Saturday and, even some of the stuff going on last week is a testament to kind of how the locker room feels and how we were able to respond. Like you said, there was a number of things in that game that could have, had us not believe and not really continue to fight in that game, whether it was Danny going down, whether it was the weather, whether it was the block punt. Like there were so many things where, really probably 90% of society would have been like, okay, I'm done. I'm throwing in the towel. But I don't think you saw that for 1 second, throughout those 60 minutes. So.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, exactly, Bill. And you certainly didn't see it from Mason Posa and Cooper Catalano. I mean, those boys were just balling out as the linebackers there. I know it's the defensive side of the ball, but can you just talk about the growth that you've seen from those 2 freshmen this year and the impact that they've had on the defensive side?
Yeah, I mean, I remember. I think Cooper. Yeah, Mason Posa did not early enroll, so I know Coop was here in the spring. But even like in fall camp, we'd be a bunch of the older guys. We'd be sitting there after, team meetings late at night, just, chopping it up, talking about whatever. And then, we were talking, I think it was Coach Vick. I don't want to put that for sure on the record, but we were talking one day of just like, Cooper and or Mason, they always are around the ball. And like, we're kind of sitting there joking, like, do they really know what they're doing? Probably like, not yet, probably not, but they always find themselves around the ball. And I think, there was definitely, I don't remember, who I was talking to or where I heard about it, but yeah, they came out and they played well in Oregon, and then, you get a chance for guys to get tape on them, and there's kind of some expectations for them. And I think you saw them probably elevate even more of continuing to attack the ball, and they're not playing like true freshmen. So that's been really cool to see. And obviously I think it's a good sign for the future of what, those 2 have been able to do as young as they are. And I don't want to use the word raw, but inexperienced. They haven't, they're not sitting here and have played 45 games in their career like Aaron Witt and some of those older guys, but they're doing this as young guys. And so that really kind of shows where they can go as long as they, continue to do the things they've done and attack every day and continue to get better. So it's been really exciting to see. And they're both 2 knuckleheads too. So they're a lot of fun in and out of the locker room.
Billy Edwards, Junior Badgers quarterback, joining us here for just a couple more moments. Billy, when you look ahead now, you got an opportunity now to go on the road at Indiana. They just had a hell of a scare against Penn State. And I know you're confident as a group, but when you win a game, confidence has to grow. So why the hell not? Why the hell not just go and beat Indiana this weekend?
Shit, I mean, you said it. Sorry, excuse my language, but I mean that the like I said in the beginning of this call, the stuff we were able to do, like again, that we've done stuff, positive things in games earlier this season that we have not come out and won on, or won in, and the ability to build on the things we did positive on Saturday, able to come out with a win. And Indiana is one heck of a team from top to bottom. I know they, like you said, they had a little scare on Saturday against Penn State. I know Coach Cignetti will get them right and have the boys ready. But I mean, we showed that, I think they were ranked 23rd, 24th, but that was, definitely one of the better offenses we'll face in the country. And I know Indiana's defense is probably, like we talked about with a lot of the defenses we played with this year, they're probably top 5. I don't know all the statistics and whatnot, but why the hell not? Why not go in there and go into Memorial Stadium? It'll be a fun environment, a fun crowd. And they're 10-0, 11-0, whatever it is. Why not see what we can do?
Absolutely. Absolutely, Billy. I love it. I love the attitude, love the spirit. And as always, we appreciate you coming on and giving us your insight on this team. And looking forward to it. Congrats on the win. And hopefully we'll see it again on Saturday.
Absolutely. You guys have a good week. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you. There he goes, Billy Edwards Jr. And we were able to hit the dump button in time. So we were able to avoid any issues
Well,
there.
I mean, I hope my question got in there for those that, are now like, wait, what did we miss? I asked him about why the hell not? Why don't you go and beat Indiana this weekend? And, he gave me a word that starts with S and said, yeah. I mean, hell yeah. So a great raw response there from the quarterback. Maybe I should go speak to the team. I guess I can fire these guys up.
There we go. Yeah, fire him up. I mean, Billy's fired up. He fires up the boys, and he gets us fired up. We're fired up to have him every single Monday during the season here. So he's been absolutely fantastic. And this Badgers team getting a win and getting some positivity going here for this Badgers squad as we've been just kind of seeing here on the talk and text line, 877-794-1973. If you'd like to hop on where your excitement level is for this Badgers team after the win. And maybe after hearing Billy Edwards Jr. there, is your excitement level even higher now and what this team might be able to do going forward. And coming up on the other side here, we are going to dive into Bruisers Bites as the highly anticipated part of the show. We got that coming up next here on the other side. Stay with us. It's D.N.D. here on the game.
You are listening to D.N.D. with Doug, Nick, and Dave.
This pains me to say this, but Dave's right.
Hey, why does that pain you to say? I'm right quite a bit, I think.
Middays here on the game.
Baby, right.
iHeartRadio. Here are the top Steely Dan songs that you've thumbed up. Number 3, Hey 19.
She thinks I'm crazy, but I'm just growing old. Hey, 19. We got nothing in common. We can't dance together. Can't talk at all.
Number 2, Do It Again.
Yeah, you go back, Jack, do it again. We'll turn it round and round. You go back, Jack, do it again.
Number 1, Reeling in the Years.
Are you reeling in the years? Stowing away the time? Are you gathering up the tears? Have you had enough of mine?
Hear more from Steely Dan and similar artists now. Search for Steely Dan on iHeartRadio. All your favorite music, all your favorite stations, all free.
Now, a year in rock spotlight, 1971.
February, 4 months after her death, Janis Joplin's album Pearl is released and goes to number 1. The single Me and Bobby McGee also tops the chart. Bill Withers hits number 3 with the single Ain't No Sunshine from his debut album produced by Booker T. Jones. In March of 71, Carole King releases her first solo album and scores 2 number 1 singles, I Feel the Earth Move and It's Too Late. And UK progressive rockers Jethro Tull have a top 10 album on both sides of the Atlantic with Aqualung.
Stop running down his nose. Greasy fingers smearing shabby clothes. Hey, Aqualung.
In April, the Temptations topped the charts with Just My Imagination, their 3rd number 1 and their 13th top 10 single. Three Dog Night have their 2nd number 1 single with Joy to the World. And the Rolling Stones album Sticky Fingers is released, including the number 1 single Brown Sugar.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more from 1971. Coming up.
The Packers welcome the Eagles to Green Bay tonight.
They're a great defense. They got some really good players over there, so definitely got a lot of respect for them. And that's where I think we just got to do a good job of trying to find ways to take advantage of what they do. But I think they mix stuff up a lot. They got a really good defense coordinator over there, so they do stuff well. Their stats might not be as well, but I think teams have had success when they hit on their plays.
Stay with the game all day as we get you ready for Monday Night Football.
iHeartRadio goes one-on-one with Elton John to talk about performing live.
Going on stage was where I could show off and be comfortable. And I was always a bit timid off stage. And the stage gave me an outlet. And you'll find that with many performers, whether they be dancers, actors, singers, musicians. They have the outlet on stage to become the person they're not off stage. And I think that's what eventually led to my troubles, along with the drugs and the drink, is that the person who was fast becoming popular as Elton John and becoming, the number one rock star in the world, had kind of escaped from the person off stage, and the balance was completely off kilter. And the more I became successful, the harder I worked, and the less time I concentrated on being normal or trying to be kind of normal. But people who knew me privately were shocked, I think, at what I was doing off stage. Rather, they knew what I was going to do on stage, but off stage they were shocked and disappointed.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more Elton John and all your favorite artists.
We call it Wagertainment.
All right, place your bets,
VSiN, every night at 6. Presented by Potawatomi Sportsbook. Bet above the rest on Fox Sports 920.
iHeartRadio goes one-on-one with Rick Springfield to talk about how he thinks music has changed over the years.
Oh, I think music has, it's either music or it's not, but it's split into so many categories. Actually, it was Clockwork Orange, the writer of Clockwork Orange. His name escapes me right now, but he's an awesome writer. He wrote about that in the 60s, that music was going to fragment, and 14-year-olds wouldn't like 15-year-old music, and 15-year-olds wouldn't like 16-year-old music, and it's really kind of how it's come down.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more from Rick Springfield and all your favorite artists.
D.N.D. here on the game. Dave Gasper, Nick Brusewitz. Doug Russell is on the road today on assignment, as we call it, heading up to Lambeau Field, and he will be coming at you at 3 o'clock with Packers game day, with Monday Night Football coming up here tonight. Nick, I just got this notification on my phone here from The Athletic. So, you have your Athletic subscription, and you pick the teams that you like and follow and all that. And I just got this one here during the commercial break about Kyle Tucker's destination tiers. So where could Kyle Tucker land? And the sub headline is, where will the winter's top free agent land? MLB officials forecast the Brewers' chances. Now, look, I understand that this is kind of personalized to following the Brewers, but I already know the answer to that before I click on it. The answer is 0. I mean, I understand what you're trying to do here, but I think we all know Kyle Tucker is not coming to the Milwaukee Brewers.
Right. I bet they sent a push notification to all 30 teams.
All 30 teams. What are your team's chances for the top one? Right. Yeah. The Oakland Athletics probably got one. The Colorado Rockies probably got one. The Pittsburgh Pirates probably got one. And for all those teams, the answer is going to be 0. I don't even need to click on it to know that ends up being the answer. So yeah, that's kind of some things just came across here on the line during the break. Also, Wisconsin basketball, new AP poll in basketball. Wisconsin basketball staying at 24 on the AP top 25. So no moves anywhere. I mean, they did what they needed to do with their non-conference games. But yeah, they stay exactly where they are. On the NickLayLaw.com talk and text line, 877-794-1973, which is always open to you. We've been asking and trying to get your reaction to this Badgers win, and how much more excited are you for this team and their future after this game this last week. And we got Paige in the 920 texts in, very excited about the future of Badger football, even bought tickets to the Illinois game. The win reframes the rest of the season from complete failure to momentum building for next year. Maybe Mac's statement confirming Fickle for 2026 ignited the team. And I think that's fantastic point. I think the framing of the season from being a failure, which is basically what we had been talking about this entire time. Now we can kind of look at like, okay, there are some things going right here. There is some momentum going forward for this team.
Yeah, you have a lot of belief now in some of those players that were recruited by this staff. People are questioning their ability, their eye for talent. This is an obvious answer that they have at least some ability. You got 2 home runs at interior linebacker, at linebacker in general, however you want to deploy posts. It's going to be an inside linebacker role for Catalano. And at quarterback, at least you got a guy with a lot of hope, passion. What were the words? Fire, spark, and hope. That's what Carter Smith brought to the field on Saturday. So yeah, it feels good to be on the right side of a win. It felt like last year they were very close to wins like this against maybe even better programs, right? Oregon, Penn State at home. So it felt good to be on the right side of that. Disappointing to not be in attendance, but life goes on.
Yeah, that was kind of a tough run for you there, Nick, to miss that one. But also, Fire, Spark, and Hope, I think that should be a T-shirt. So Wisconsin Badgers merchandising people, put that on a T-shirt. Mike from Merrill texts in, the big thing about this past 2 weeks is the standout play of those freshman linebackers and the huge problem that poses. UW needs to retain them, and I'm sure their NIL costs just increased exponentially, along with continuing to add onto the roster for 2026. Plus, it's an ever-changing situation. Extremely difficult, but something that they need to put their thumb on. Yeah, I'm sure their cost has gone up a little bit from what they were coming in as true freshmen. But also, I think UW has made the announcements like, hey, we are going to have more financial commitments available here for NIL to retain those players. And I'd imagine those guys are going to be the priority for them.
Right. And they're roommates and they're really close friends. And the chances of both transferring to the same program are very, very slim. So I think that there's a very likely chance that their interests are first and foremost, almost exclusively remaining Badgers. And the Badgers will have to reward them handsomely if their production continues on the path that it is. But I'm not overly worried about it. I know they'll be back this next season. Fatter Joe texts in a couple of times too before we transition into our Bruisers Bites for today. And the second of which is a little bit more prevalent. First of which, Billy, such language, exclamation
such
point.
Language, Billy. Come on. Come on. Let's get
stuff.
better here. But
Nightingale running it back. Same exact thing, I guess. Almost cut and paste, just replacing Devin Williams with Freddie Peralta this year. Might suggest there's a possibility that Freddie is dealt.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly going to be very fluid. And Matt Arnold is not going to really tip his hand either way. I think what he's doing and talking about, we're planning to keep him. We're not planning to trade him. That is a matter of leverage. And that is a matter of telling teams you can't just have him for free. If you want to pry him from me, if you want to get Freddie Peralta or you want to get Devin Williams, you got to pay up for it. And that's exactly what they were able to do with Devin Williams last year. They got a Rookie of the Year finalist in Caleb Durbin in return in that trade. And Rookie of the Year awards, I believe, are announced tonight. Actually. So, Durbin is a finalist along with Drake Baldwin and Cade Horton. So that's something that we'll also be able to watch here tonight. So very, very excited for that. But what we're also very excited for is the highly anticipated, often imitated, never duplicated Bruisers Bites.
Time now for Bruisers Bites.
It's time for Bruisers Bites, first edition of the week, and we got a lot of good stuff to dig into. Packers in action tonight. We'll start with them, but also Badgers' reaction to their win over the weekend. Of course, we've been highlighting that throughout the program. And finally, just a little touch on the Bucs. It's very early in an NBA season that most people probably don't care about quite yet. So we'll start here with the Green Bay Packers. And as always, our Bruisers Bites are brought to you by Wisconsin Concrete Coatings, wiconcretecoatings.com. Here's Xavier McKinney, Packers safety, on the importance of tonight's game.
They got a good team, but it's not the first good team that we played all year. But we're really getting ourselves prepared for this game. Played them twice last year and lost to them twice. So, we're trying to get our get back. But it's not going to be easy. We know that, they're not just going to lay down and give us a win. But I could say that for any team. So, it's going to be a fun, exciting game on Monday.
How much does tonight's game, whatever the result is, influence your opinion of who the Packers are?
I think it's going to have a big part of the opinion, because we talk about this team and how they've kind of played down or played to the level of their competition when they played some bad teams like the Cleveland Browns, or when they played the Carolina Panthers, a team that they should beat. They've kind of played sloppy. But when they have the big games, the Detroit Lions, the Commanders at the time, the Pittsburgh Steelers, they've been able to get up for them, and they've been able to put together fantastic games. So I think in terms of how they play this game, I think it will have an impact on whether or not this team is legit, how we all feel about them, because if they lay an egg, kind of like they did against the Panthers, it's not going to be looking good for them.
Micah Parsons had this to say about the Packers trying to get to the top of the mountain in the NFL.
When you come that next year and you're on the top of the mountain, it's like, how do you stay there? Because everyone's coming for it, and we're coming for the top of the mountain. Like, they're coming to Lambeau to show them why they're on top of the mountain, and we're showing them why we're climbing the mountain. So it's going to be a very respectful and disrespectful game. So it's going to be a dogfight.
After week one, it felt like the Packers, let's say after week two, more notably, because week one and week two were just a few days apart for Green Bay. It felt like the Packers might have a fast pass to the top of the mountain, that they were just full speed ahead. They're going to be there. It's just inevitable. And since then, it's felt like it's stalled. It's gone backwards. It's struggled along. How close do you think they are to being maybe the best team in the NFL?
I think they're close. I think they've got the pieces together, and getting Micah Parsons in that trade, I think really is one of the big pieces of it, one of the final pieces to get in place, that premier pass rusher to really open things up defensively for you. So I think they're close. I think they're right there. We have seen flashes of it at times. It's just a matter of getting it consistently, getting that kind of consistent play out of Jordan Love and out of some of your weapons there on the offensive side, and cleaning things up with special teams, because that's been a problem for a number of years that keeps the Packers from reaching their full potential. So I think they've got the pieces. I think they're very close. It's just a matter of putting it in and week out and showcasing that performance. So they're right there. And it's just going to take another game like this to prove it.
We'll transition over to the Badgers, who won 13-10 over Washington at Camp Randall on Saturday, notching their first ranked win since 2021, notching their first Big Ten win since last October, and notching their first victory since this September 6th. This is head coach Luke Fickell on getting the victory and, the conversations around his job status.
I'm not here to tell you that this is the expectation, to win one game and to expect the people or our fans to rush the field. I mean, there's a greater expectation. That's why I came here. That's why these guys came here. But at times, you've got to know that people have your back. And for me and for them, I can't say thank you enough, obviously, not just to Chris, but to Chancellor Mnuchin, the board, and everybody that recognizes and understands that, not accepting this, but we understand that we got to move forward, but this is how we want to do it.
Was Saturday an example of a team kind of rallying around their coach and delivering maybe some much needed medicine to a tumultuous situation?
Yeah, I think so. I think the locker room has been there for Coach Fickell the entire time, but they hear the Fire Fickell chants just like he does, just like everyone else does on TV. You hear the chants, you hear the outside noise, you see it, especially in college football where coaches are dropping like flies almost all the time. I think it's great to see that support is there. And it's important to the players to have that support for their head coach and know kind of what they're building. And it's heading towards something that the administration believes in them. So yeah, I think it helped them to rally around, each other, Coach Fickell, and to finally get themselves over the hump, because they want to win more than any of the rest of us. As much as McIntosh or the, Chancellor or any of the fans, as much as any of them want a win, those players want it more than anyone else. So it's great to see them rally around it and be able to get one across the finish line.
Well, at the helm, quarterback Carter Smith made his Badgers debut. Danny O'Neal went down in the first quarter. Smith was thrust into action. This is what he had to say about what he brings as a quarterback.
Just being physical and kind of asserting the run, and then also being able to open it up in the pass and venture off into that world a little bit. But I think just more of a mentality. I feel like I bring a lot of the physicalness and the toughness, I feel like, and hopefully the guys rally around that and get drive started like that and do all that.
What did you make from what you saw from Smith? He completes 3 passes on 12 attempts, 8 yards in that portion, but 15 carries, a rushing touchdown. What did you see from him? What did you like? What did you maybe want to see more of?
Well, I loved the energy that he brought. I mean, he even if he's doing a first down run for 5 yards, he's getting up. I mean, he's pointing down. He's getting the crowd fired up. He's flexing on guys. I mean, it was electric just seeing him making the plays, just getting the ball. He just seemed thrilled to be out there. He was getting that crowd juiced up, getting the offense going. Every time he just got up and he's just screaming and just ready to go. So absolutely love to see that. Did not necessarily love the jump throws he was trying to do and, a lot of the incomplete passes. Now, granted, as we were talking with Billy Edwards Jr., the weather was sloppy. It makes it very difficult to pass the ball. There were a number of instances where it seemed like he hit his receiver in the hands. Receiver just couldn't bring it in. And that was, that could be on a wet ball, on the conditions, whatever it was. So there could have been more passing yards there. There was also one where his receiver was wide open, streaking downfield, and he was instead looking to the little out route or the flat route there, heading towards the sideline, and just kind of missed that. So there are some things to clean up, some things to look at in terms of the tape, but overall, I was very pleased with what he was able to do because he brought energy to that offense, and he brought enough for them to get the win.
Well, getting the win was certainly the most important part for the fans, but getting an opportunity to storm the field doesn't come often. And this is Ben Barton, senior defensive lineman, on the fans storming the field.
So I was talking to Preston, and we've only had a couple times in our career that happened, a couple years against Iowa, and then this year was super cool. And this time was my first time actually playing in the game that it happened in. So it was a sweet ordeal having everybody just come out and support us on the field.
Some people hated it. Some people loved it. I lean for let's just have some fun, and it looked like a fun moment. What did you make of storming the field? You beat 23rd ranked Washington, not necessarily one of the most premier programs in the country, but it's been over 4 years since this program beat someone that was ranked.
Yeah, but also, I mean, for Washington, I mean, just a couple of years ago, they were in the national championship game. They were, very, very strong team. And I tweeted this out at the time. Storm the field, Badgers fans. You deserve it. I mean, after everything that this program has gone through over the past couple of years, the frustrations mounting, the injuries at quarterback, not being able to, the Luke Fickell era has been spinning its wheels seemingly the entire time. So to get a big win like that, a ranked win, it doesn't matter if it's number 3 in the country or number 23 in the country. It was a massive win for Wisconsin. The Badgers fans deserved that field storm, and it's just as much as anything else, it is about releasing all that frustration, all that angst that fans have been feeling to just finally get that weight off their shoulders. I thought it was great.
Yeah, I was fired up about it for sure, man. I mean, we've talked about court stormings. It's happened a little bit more regularly at the Kohl Center. Certainly than at Camp Randall. More opportunities happen in basketball than in football to, get a team of that caliber at home and certainly pull off the victory. We had a chance, I did, too, for, media purposes, storm the court a couple of times throughout our few years here doing the J&K Security Solutions basketball post-game show. I'm just doing my job here, guys.
Right. Totally. That's totally why you volunteered to be the one down there.
That's right. I'll go down on the court. I'll take one for the team. We'll end with the court, where the Bucks did lose last night at home, 122-115 to the Houston Rockets. They lose that game by 7. They went into the fourth quarter with a 3-point lead. This is head coach Doc Rivers on the loss.
It was a game that I thought was very winnable for us. And it was frustrating. I thought we didn't execute offensively at all. The ball stopped moving. And I thought defensively, we did things that we just can't do. I was frustrated when we were up 10. I just thought it should have been 20 and we had a chance to put them away. And we didn't because of our self-inflicted wounds. And that was a difficult one. And then when they made the run, we never could get out of it.
Bucks went into halftime up 11 points, ultimately can't win. They've lost 3 of 5. They're 6-4 on the year. All this to say, after 10 games, I think they're roughly exactly where we thought they'd be, in the thick of it in the Eastern Conference, but not running away with it and definitely not way behind.
Yeah, I mean, it's the first 10 games of the regular season for the NBA. And as we all have kind of known, the regular season doesn't really mean as much. I think the Bucks are still going to be a playoff team. They're still going to be in the thick of it, in the hunt. And we'll see what happens in April when we get to the NBA playoffs. But yeah, I mean, there's a ton of these games throughout the season where it's like, yeah, it could have been up more, should have been up more. And for whatever reason, they're just unable to complete it. So it's frustrating whenever it happens in that moment. But the Bucks, I think, will still end up being just fine.
Yeah, I'd imagine they'll be A-okay. And just to highlight what you already highlighted earlier, I guess one last bite out the door. Badgers men's basketball remain 24th ranked. They won the games they're supposed to win. I think most of the teams in the AP top 25 have won the games they're supposed to win so far. So no surprise there hasn't been a shakeup quite yet. They'll have 2 more chances to get some easier victories in the near future. Ball State and SIUE, I believe, is the next game after that.
SIU Edwardsville. Powerhouse. SIU Edwardsville.
And then things start getting real a week from Friday in Salt Lake City against BYU. Not necessarily a neutral site, but at least I guess it's not on BYU's campus.
Yeah, I guess so. But so that'll be a fascinating week coming up for Badger basketball as that gets going. So yeah, it's important to beat the teams that you're supposed to beat, and Greg Gard's team was able to do that.
That is right. And you know who always delivers? Wisconsin Concrete Coatings. WIConcretecoatings.com. Visit them there, see their great work, and see how they can maybe make your property a little bit nicer. Their polyurea coating this time of year, slip resistant when wet. That's sand, that's salt this time of year. Not going to erode your floors if you got that coating on it. So WIConcretecoatings.com.
Absolutely. They are fantastic, and they'll help make things look clean and nice. And we'll clean some things up on the other side, our closing ceremonies. And we got to be talking about a very big anniversary that is today. So we're going to be talking about that on the other side. Stay with us. It's D&D here on The Game.
Want to watch D.N.D? They're live on YouTube, Facebook, and X right now.
There you go.
There we go.
Just search 97.3 The Game.
Now, a year in rock spotlight, 1968.
California's Creedence Clearwater Revival released their debut LP, which contains the number 11 single Susie Q. And in August, American band Tommy James and the Shondells have a number 1 hit in the UK with Moni Moni. It goes to number 8 in the US. And the Doors have their first number 1 album and their second and last number 1 single with Hello, I Love You.
When she moves, my brain screams out this song.
In November of 68, Van Morrison releases his second solo album, Astral Weeks, and Joe Cocker has a UK number 1 with his cover of the Beatles with a little help from my friends.
Don't you know I'm gonna make you with my friends?
And in December, Motown holds the top spot with number 1 hits from Marvin Gaye, I Heard It Through the Grapevine, and the Supremes with Love Child. The Beatles released their first single on their own Apple label, Hey Jude, back with Revolution. The over 7-minute song went to number 1 in the US and the UK.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more from 1968 coming up.
Packers, Eagles, tonight at Lambeau.
It's going to be a test. We know that. It's Monday Night Football. It'll be a great atmosphere, and it's going to be a test. It's going to be a bounce-back week for us, and we just got that mindset to focus on us and our process and all the little details, and just have that mindset to go out there, start fast, and play our best ball Monday.
We are getting you ready for the Monday night matchup all day on the game.
Now, a year in rock spotlight from 1977.
September of 77, American duo Steely Dan released their 6th album, Asia. It goes to number 3 in the States on the strength of 2 top 20 hits, Peg and Deacon Blues. In October, the major label debut album by Meatloaf is released. It's number 14 in the U.S. and goes on to be one of the best-selling albums of all time. Leonard Skinner released the album Street Survivor. 3 days later, singer Ronnie Van Zant and 2 other band members are killed in a plane crash. The album goes to number 5 in the States, and the single What's Your Name hits number 13.
What's your name, little girl? What's your name?
In November, Eric Clapton's Slow Hand is released. It goes to number 2, driven by 3 hit singles, Cocaine, Wonderful Tonight, and Lay Down Sally.
Lay down, Sally. I'm resting in my arms. Don't you think you want someone to talk to?
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more from 1977 coming up. Now, a year in rock spotlight from 1977.
In June of 77, Ram Jam have a top 20 U.S. hit single with a cover of Lead Belly's song Black Betty. Chicago area rock band Styx have a U.S. top 10 album, Grand Illusion, including the top 10 single Come Sail Away.
Come sail away, come sail away, come sail away with me.
In July of 77, the Grateful Dead veered towards progressive rock, adding strings, horn, and a choir on their 9th studio album, Terrapin Station.
Terrapin in the middle is screaming, Terrapin.
In August of 77, the King dies. Elvis Presley's found dead in his home in Memphis, Tennessee at the age of 42. Detroit rock vocalist Iggy Pop releases his 2nd solo album, Lust for Life. It's his 2nd collaboration with David Bowie. New York's Billy Joel releases his 5th album, The Stranger. It goes to number 2 in the U.S., with the single Just the Way You Are rising to number 3.
I want you just the way you are.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more from 1977 coming up.
iHeartRadio. Soundtrack. Flashback.
Deep down, we're all Ducky. Pretty in Pink in 1986, another teen classic, had a huge soundtrack full of hits that we now call alternative. The biggest of all, If You Leave by Orchestral Maneuvers in the Dark.
I touch you once, I touch you twice. I won't let go at any price.
For more great movie soundtrack hits, check out Popcorn Radio on the iHeartRadio app.
The legend lives on from the Chippewa on down at the big lake they call Gitchagumi.
D.N.D. here on the game. Dave Gasper, Nick Bruzwitz, our closing ceremonies here. And we would be remiss to not mention the big anniversary today. 50 years ago, the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald up in Lake Superior. Just an incredible piece of Midwestern lore. I mean, the stories of Lake Superior, the stories of the Edmund Fitzgerald, and obviously the Gordon Lightfoot song here telling us all about it. But I mean, this is something that, like, as part of Midwesterners, Wisconsinites, we all know this story, right? Like across the country, and they only really kind of know the song, but they don't know the story really of the Edmund Fitzgerald.
That's right.
Now,
those poor souls who lost their lives.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it is.
It's hard to believe. It's not funny that they lost their lives.
No,
no.
But it's not. But I mean, just the Edmund Fitzgerald, 50 years ago today, it ended up going down. So just
think of like a kid going like, hey, what's great grandmother's legacy? Well, she's been immortalized in a song. Oh, what song? Here's the song.
Here's the song.
My goodness.
Yeah.
Immortalized. These people will live on. That's our local Titanic.
It is. It is. It's the Midwestern Titanic, essentially. I mean, there's no movie on it yet. We're seeing some like documentaries kind of coming out on it now. But yeah, like it is the Midwestern version of that. And unfortunately, neither Rose nor Jack were able to be on a piece of driftwood to try and fight over who would end up being there. But 50 years ago, incredible. Just hard to believe. But you got the bells ringing at the Old Mariner Church in Detroit. Coming back from some mill in Wisconsin. It was the Edmund Fitzgerald was for Northwestern Mutual. Was the company that invested in it, and they had the construction of the Edmund Fitzgerald. I mean, that was Northwestern Mutual's president, CEO, something like that. So yeah, it was
terrible shame,
terrible tragedy, quite the story. But 50 years ago today. And also, as Ted the 920 points out, it's also the Marine Corps' 250th birthday. So there we go. We got that as well. So happy birthday to the United States Marine Corps. Right. Wrapping up some other things here on the NicoletLaw.com talk and text line, 877-794-1973. We were talking earlier about Nick missing the Badger game on Saturday because he is sick. Didn't want to get Billy or anyone else in that in that press box sick. So what things have you missed that you're supposed to be at? And unnamed in the 608 said, I missed a Grateful Dead show in Indiana because my friend's car broke down in Gurnee, Illinois. Ooh, that's tough.
Break.
That's very tough. That Grateful Dead show would have been so much fun, but it's tough. I mean, sometimes those are the breaks, and maybe the breaks were the reason that the car broke down in Gurnee, Illinois. Who knows?
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah,
out the door. You had to do it to everybody.
I had to. I had to do it. But Ted in the 920 also texting. I was supposed to be at the Ice Bowl, but I was born in 1987.
Yeah.
Well done, Ted. Well done. Well put. That you were able to finish it out there. All right. Well, that'll do it for us. We have made it through the 4 hours here. And coming up next, we're going to have Drew and KB. I believe without Drew, it's just going to be Hunter and KB for the next hour. And then Packers game day getting started at 3:00 with Doug Russell. So that's going to be coming up here shortly. Packers playing on Monday Night Football tonight. Nick, you had your flu game today. Fantastic.
Right.
Great work. We'll be back at it tomorrow with Doug Russell. This has been D.N.D. on the game.
It's Monday Night Football at Lambeau Field. Does it get any better? We don't think so. Listen right here.